Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, week number 12, as we are live here from the UMG studio in the greater St. Louis area. Myself, Landon Lando Sanders, joined this week by 9Hole and Tyler, a.k.a. Arrow. Guys, it's set to be a fantastic week. We've got some new teams playing same game modes, but it's set to be a phenomenal one here in week 12.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about how we had now finally the same game list 2 weeks in a row, but now we've just changed all of the players and changed everything
Exactly.
there. So always set to be an exciting week. This time should be no different. And now we have a historian with us.
We do.
Tyler, I didn't get
Hello.
to cast with you last time, but I'm looking forward to it this week.
Thank you. Same with you. So what I'm definitely looking for is the addition of ex Nestorio to this game, who a lot of people don't know him. He is one of the top R/UHC players. I would definitely say personally he's a better PvPer than Technoblade. However, I do not know how good he fares in minigames, which Techno is known for being very good at every
Right.
area. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Whenever Arrow was bringing that up to us before, we were like me and Nine were like, okay, like be very careful with that statement. Obviously, Arrow knows a lot, but it's just in terms of like our history, Nine, with Minecraft Monday, it hurts to say like, wait, there's someone better than Technoblade. Someone could possibly contend for that. We'll have to see. Like we said, we're not getting ahead of ourselves, right, when it comes down to the Blood God, but that will be a storyline to consider as we go and take a look now through our game modes here for, like we said, week 12, as we're taking a look at Hunger Games Replica, Bingo Spleef, Skywars Parkour, TNT Run, One Shot, and Hunger Games. Of course, as per usual, we've got the good old Hunger Games sandwich. Excited for this one. And Replica as well, making a comeback. I know what, Nine, we got to experience this one last week. And I will say, initially, I was a little bit skeptical, like, how is Replica really going to work? But in fruition, the way that it kind of was sought after, I thought the Replica was a great addition.
I think so, too. It was much more rapid fire than we were expecting. Of course, the first time that we'd seen something like that was Build Battle. They had, maybe 10 minutes to build something. Here they had 30 seconds to try to complete something. It started with smiley faces and then ended up being a mishmash, almost like a kaleidoscope of all these different materials. So it was indeed a lot of fun, and I'm curious to see this week Skywars. We all know how fun it is. The addition of even more skilled players is going to make this one even more fun, Tyler.
I'm definitely interested to see the size of the border that they have set it to for this time, because setting it to the 1 block wide border definitely affected the way it ran last time. So we could definitely see maybe if someone gets a better position when the border shrinks into this time, you could get a non-PvP player coming out on top, getting maybe some extra fall damage before they fight someone like Techno.
I'm also really curious too, because I know in prior weeks we talked about parkour. It is sometimes fun to watch for the players, but in terms of kind of the broadcast point of view, it needed kind of some extra oomph, if you will. Last week parkour was amazing. Like it kind of came down to like our final few players. We were obviously going to have the main storyline of Technoblade. Can he finally accomplish that last and final jump? And even as soon as we were kind of in the pre-show together talking about how last week went, a few of the storylines coming in for this week, the major one for us instantly was, man, that parkour course was insane. Like the jump that players had to make, and XQC's excellence, if you will, by doing it literally one time was somewhat interesting. What are your guys' thoughts when it comes into parkour? Do you think we'll see the same storylines, and can we see Technoblade finally conquer the course of which he's been in first place a majority of the time in?
Well, there's always a little bit of a tweak that can help out. Generally, if there is a spot that everyone's struggled at, they tend to change it up a little bit on the other time. But that really was the game where XQC and Moxie pushed forward. And remember, they got second place last week, guys. That was the best that they had ever done. And they're going to be pushing up higher this week.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go and take a look at our player list. Our participants coming into this week, we've talked about a few different lineups, and we've talked about some new ones. The first one we have to look out for, though, is team number 1, as we have got Technoblade, the 4-time Minecraft Monday champion, now teaming up with Ninja. Now, for those those Minecraft Monday historians out there, they do know that this is not Ninja's first time in Minecraft Monday. In fact, he played in week 1 and week 2. However, it's fair to say this is his best teammate, and it happens to be the best player in Minecraft Monday as for right now. I know we may have a few people who could step up to the plate, but guys, just initial thoughts on Technoblade and Ninja being together.
And any team you see with Vicstar involved is going to be a threat to the overall competition. I personally don't know Courage JD, but if he does know Vicstar, I'm sure he has at least some sort of background in some sort of PvP version of any game, which applies very heavily. Say he could be a great one-shot player, maybe. He could be a good Hunger Games player. And again, with Vicstar, he could get some really good plays off.
And I would like to opt to name Team 1 Blevins and Blade. I think
like
that
that.
would be
That's a
a
solid
fun
one.
one. But also Team 2, we have seen Carson in the past here, but Travs, we've always said there's always that team that can play the spoiler role, someone who might be individually good and can cripple one of these stronger teams. Travs has done that multiple times, but I'm also excited for Team 4. I have talked so much about Typical Gamer during the Friday fortnights, and to see if any of that skill transfers over, like you were saying there, maybe to one-shot, something like that. It's amazing how good some of the FPS players and the shooting game players are in things like one-shot and Spleef, so maybe some points to be had there.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like I said, we've kind of talked about the boyfriend-girlfriend combos. Well, we could possibly see the same thing when it comes down to TG and Samara and kind of rounding things down in Team 5. We do have Chandler and Chris, who have also made kind of their splash when it comes into Minecraft Monday, obviously always featured in Mr. Beast's videos. Let's go and take a look now at our next page of participants. Like we said, some familiar faces, but ones that maybe have been here previously, as we've got Jarvis and Kay, the brother combo, and I talked about that boyfriend-girlfriend duo that happens to be exactly where Symphony and Brooke happen to sit as well. And guys, last week they actually finished off 10th place, which for them, I know that they've recently started playing Minecraft together. I think that's a respectable placement, all things considered.
I would say so too, and you know, anytime that a team can come in and get top 10 on the first time shows that they do have some skill. I know Taylor was a little bit curious how they would do in something like Replica when it gets to that point. They were a lot of fun to watch in Bingo as well. But another team, when you think of fun to watch, guys, Team 9, XQC and Moxie, this might be their best chance. Like we said, second place last week. Tyler, do you think they have a chance of winning this week?
They're going to win eventually. They are consistently in, like top 5 at least?
Oh, yeah.
They give it their all every time. Moxie's excellent player. If he ever loses a round, gets demotivated, XQC's right behind him, getting his morale back up.
Yep.
They are a very good duo. I'd say personally they probably have the best synergy out of any team in Minecraft Monday. I
think it's very fair, right? And like I said, they're kind of prior placements, third, and second. So they have been consistently in that top realm. And obviously, rounding things out, we've got KYR, Speedy, and Sidearms finally returning back to Minecraft Monday. It's going to be great to see how those guys are faring off. And even kind of toward their end of playing in Minecraft Monday, they started to really improve. I think they got like a 7th place finish, which was, for them, actually, they really kind of started to improve as time went on. And 7th, at least for now, seems to be their best placement. Let's go and take a look now at our next page of participants, though, as we've got, at least for team number 11, we've got the Sidemen showing up. We've got Zerka and Bazinga together. Really excited about this particular team. Just below them, Jerome and Bajan Canadian, right? We know Team Rome, their history, what they can really do together. But I think we have to call it out. We have to bring up this particular point. We've been hearing a lot of really interesting notes right about Nestorio now teaming up with Wisp, as someone unfortunately wasn't able to compete. What are we thinking about this team number 12?
So they are both high-pixel UHC players currently, which is UHC is called Ultra Hardcore. It is it's a very rough overview. It is essentially Fortnite before Fortnite. It's kind of a similar type of game. If you take damage, it is permanent. So these people are very good at not taking damage, lasting a long time, and killing players while taking the least amount of damage as possible. Now, again, mini games, I'm not sure how well they fare. They are high-pixel YouTubers, but they are strictly UHC high-pixel YouTubers as far as I'm aware.
And that really is the question, right? We have seen some very good PvP players come in and struggle a little bit because it's a matter of both players contributing to get the wins. We say it so often and we see it so often. Every time a team wins, they almost always have someone at number 1 and then at number 2 or number 3 after that. It's about both sides finding ways to contribute, and that really is the best way to look at it. I agree. On paper, I think Team 12 is our favorite today, just based on legacy skill, but you never know what it is and how quickly things can change when you have a pool that's this mixed. I mean, just looking right here, Team 14, if they get in a fight with Team 12 a little too early, even if one goes down on each side, that severely limits their point output.
That's for sure, right? Like I said, this team, I think you have to kind of be looking out for them. I know kind of our main question was not just how will they perform in regular PvP modes, because I think we have somewhat of an idea where they're going to sit most of the time, probably in at least in that top 3 conversation. But in terms of how they're going to perform when it comes into mini games, and I know we've kind of been talking about that, that should kind of settle the score. Now, one team we also have to kind of keep in mind, and one team who may be kind of falling out of our initial idea is actually Team Rome, right? Team 14. They actually did not play last week because they were both on vacation together. Yes, how sweet, right? But Team Rome, prior to them missing week 11, had finished 2nd in back-to-back weeks. So in 9th and 10th, they were runners-up in one of those weeks to Technoblade and were incredibly close to finally capturing a title. So I got to say, I think that this team as well maybe could at least be in the realm of possibility for a top 3 yet again. And we know Beige Canadian, right, has placed 3rd. At least I think it's getting to the area of like 6 times. So they're familiar with being on that podium.
They are indeed. And I think that this week, You know, we've been talking so much about all these teams. I think this week we no longer have to worry about who's getting to 4 titles first. We no longer have to worry about who's going to pad the stats. This week, it's about which of these teams that have been struggling to get that first title will have a chance. We have Team 12, Wisp and Nestor. We have Jerome and Beige and Team Marome. And, of course, we have XQC and Moxie. Those 3 teams are going to be scrambling to get up to that very first title. And it feels so sweet to finally sit in the winner's circle.
I completely agree. I think there's many teams that deserve a first place eventually, and I definitely think some of them will get it after some time, if not today.
Yeah, I kind of feel like today may be the golden opportunity, depending on how certain rosters play. I know we kind of talked about a few rosters that could be kind of thrown in the realm of possibility to really kind of take this week to kind of capture it home. But I am interested to see how the mixture goes from not just PvP, but also into those mini games, because we talk about it heavily. And I'll be honest, like, I know you were kind of bringing up 9. There have been some rosters that have really kind of succeeded when it comes into PvP and then crash when it comes down to the mini games and haven't really kind of been able to reform that. We've also seen those some teams come in, even XQC and Moxie, who we thought initially may be good at a few different game modes, but they kind of shocked us. Like their first week playing together, they were winning build battle, they were winning bingo while also slaying out at the same time in some of the PvP modes. I think it really does come down to longevity. When we watched, Philza and Technoblade win, what was it, week 9, I think, together it was?
I think it was week 10.
Was it week 10?
I believe it was
week 10.
week 10.
You're correct. Whenever they won that week, it was a matter of consistency across all different game modes. Bastion Aqua last week, what are they good at? Pretty much everything. You cannot rely on just one game mode in particular. It has to be a full setup in terms of every single game mode you come into, because we've gotten to this point where there are so many talented teams where if you slip up for a moment, you have a slow placement, you maybe don't win a particular TNT run or even a Spleef particular map, that's where you can really start to kind of fall out of that top 3 conversation.
And as we've had smaller rosters over the past few weeks, we've kind of gotten away from talking about the big scores that you can get. Of course, I know Find the Button was all the rage here, but we have 16 teams this week, 32 total players. I think we are going to start to see Hunger Games come up to be the big scoring round again. But just think about what Skywars is going to be now. Technoblade and Philza got 300-plus points the week that they won all 3 of them. You could add on another 100, maybe even 150 points to that score, potentially max score, if they do the same this week. So, again, the PvP mode's going to come back up and really even out the score.
And I think one thing too, and I'm glad that you brought up Skywars, because obviously that's personally one of my favorite modes to look at. I think even from the viewer's perspective as well, the history it has obviously in Minecraft and for our series really sets up an interesting storyline. But you talk about it, right? Technoblade and Philza. First week we have Skywars, they win it. They also won 3 of those Skywars, as you mentioned. Last week when we saw Bastion Aqua close it out, they had a hand in winning 2 of those Skywars. So that could possibly be, as you called it, 9, and obviously kind of expanding on it a little bit more, that could be the golden game mode. You perform well at that, and that sets you up for the future.
Well, it's right in the middle of it, too. So we always talk about the games where you don't really have a hand in getting lots of points and getting, especially the PvP aspect where you can really prevent your opponent from getting points. We've seen every time someone tries to do that here in Spleef, like you're seeing, it seems like it always ends up going the other way, and you get punished for it. Of course, TNT Run, there's only so many ways to do. Parkour, you're on your own, so we talk so much about them in terms of scoring points, but also limiting the opponent's points.
You can also never leave out survival points in general, because if you can eliminate another team, you have 2 players, they have 1, you get twice the survival points they do. You may not get as many survival points on their own, but if you can get more players than the other teams, you add up very quickly compared to just in general.
Now, I got to ask really quickly, because I know we're getting ready to load into our first Hunger Games, guys. For those who maybe are curious, we are, in fact, having everyone kind of join in the lobby right now, making sure that everyone is, in fact, here. I got to ask the question on Dark Horse. Now, normally when Taylor's here, he just assumes to take the best team and call them a Dark Horse. Even though Technoblade has won 4 times, Taylor still likes to call Technoblade the Dark Horse. It's really not the case anymore. He has another name. It happens to be the Blood God. Not the Dark Horse, but in your guys' opinion, as we kind of looked through at a few different rosters, and I'll maybe even give mine for this week, your thoughts on Dark Horse as a team that may come out and really kind of shock a little bit of the others. Now, like I said, this is a team where we're not necessarily expecting a podium placement, but one that really could kind of shock us a little bit. I think, in my opinion, while you guys have the time to look, my personal one, I think it's going to be Courage and Vikkstar because we know how talented Vikkstar is. I think Courage, has been playing a lot when it comes down to the hunting series with Syndicate, the Optic, and the 100 Thieves boys, kind of in that combination. He's really learned the game well. He's also very quick to adapt, and pretty much every single video game is talented in some capacity, whether it's console or PC. I think alongside a guy like Vic, who we know is multi-talented in not just PvP, but also in parkour as well, I think that they have a really good mixture to maybe surprise us a little bit. We saw what Vikkstar did last week with Mr. Savage. They took the first Hunger Games, and they were in contention for winning it throughout at least 5 or 6 game modes. They were pretty much in that driver's seat, but that's kind of my sleeper team for right now, maybe one that not everyone is thinking about, but in your guys' eyes, the chat as well, feel free to let us know maybe a sleeper team for this week.
Now, another team that I think might also do good, surprisingly, would be Captain Sparkle's team, because as a lot of these YouTubers are known more for their comedy than their skill, I have slowly been seeing all these players improve vastly. Captain Sparkles is constantly in, say, a top 10 area, top 5 maybe, and he consistently gets enough points to, like, if he was on a team with Techno, that their points obviously would make a top score.
And I'm going to go ahead and go with Carson and Traps because, again, I always say never count out a champion. No matter who their teammate is, if they have won here, you can never count them out. Traps has won. It was back in week 3, but that was a minigame week paired up with C-Scoop. But again, never count out a champion. They are always capable of taking over a game and playing very well to go through. We have seen what Traps is capable of across all of the different minigames. And again, we know Carson, some diplomacy skill, but again, a lot of our games do involve that sort of thing, and a lot of them have moved away from the typical PvP style. So I think that team, while they may not finish on the podium, they certainly can fight for top 8, top 10 even, and they can certainly ruin your day if you give them the chance to.
Yeah, I agree, right? And I think it's kind of important, like you said, to kind of have that champion in your camp, if you will, to kind of help guide you through. If they've done it before, especially in minigames, it's going to make your life so much more easier. And to kind of point out what was Arrow's point of view. Yet Captain Sparkles has been fantastic ever since we've kind of recorded individual points, if you will. Captain Sparkles currently right now averages exactly 700 points per Minecraft Monday when it comes to the minigame. So absolutely a player that has to be in mind. But here we go. Game number 1 is in store as we are flying through Valleyside off the rip. Like we said, this will be our first game of the day, and I'm excited to watch exactly how this one will begin off the rip, and it looks as if Sidearms, KY, Speedy, like we said, these boys are back, and I'm excited to see what potential could be made, because as we talked about, Nine, this is a roster who has started to kind of perform toward their tail end of Minecraft Monday.
They have, and oh my goodness, their skill in Spleef. They are one of the only teams where you can actually look at that and say, yeah, they're a good Spleef team. Oftentimes when we see a team win Spleef, it's because someone hung out at the top, survived a little while, maybe got a little bit lucky, nobody noticed them. They are the ones who are firing at everybody and also somehow making it work. So, of course, you have to watch out for them, but you also have to watch out for this gentleman who is currently on the screen.
One thing to notice is that most players like Techno that do good on the Hunger Games usually just completely avoid the center, as going to the cornucopia does not grant you handed weapons. It can grant you, say, TNT, but you will not get a sword or an axe or anything you need to get those early kills to start snowballing. So you'll see players like them immediately rush out, go to the edge of the map, and just fan around in circles until they get enough to go get a team that went to the middle that has, say, a bunch of armor but no weapon, and that's just how you slowly stack up. Then you rotate again, get to the better teams, and just slowly narrow it down until you get to the end of Hunger Games. And as we're seeing that already, most of the teams already have a weapon. And actually seeing Moxie here.
Yeah,
I can't tell if they have a weapon.
I think they do, and I think they're also right above where Techno and Ninja were, because we saw Techno right under some bleachers. There may be more bleachers. This is a full stadium, but this is very interesting to see what might happen if two teams run into each other at the start. And then we were talking about it. It seems like every time this happens, it's always XQC and Moxie who end up running into a really good team early on. Whether by design or not, they certainly never are short on fights.
Yeah, they definitely are, right? Like I said, a number of different teams that are kind of roaming throughout and really trying to have somewhat of a cause for concern, but teams that maybe should have more of a concern is whenever they're looking in the eyes of Nestorio. We've talked about how solid this guy plays and how he could possibly contend against Technoblade if they were to meet up. But we're starting to see names like Bayesian, Vikkstar already beginning to fill the kill feed. And we saw this football field not long ago. It actually happened to be filled exactly where XQC and Moxie were, as Courage will find his first frag. That one going to be on Swagger Soul. So a good start for what is my sleeper team, I may or may not be secretly rooting them on right now.
One thing you may have noticed watching Nestorio was that he was holding a stone sword while having an iron sword on his 9 slot in his hotbar. So he's obviously flashing off that, oh, I have decent gear, but if you try to attack him, he's going to pull out that slightly better gear to throw you for a loop. However, stone and iron swords generally kill players in the same number of hits. However, if they have very odd pieces of armor, say we're looking at Ninja right here, that's a very odd suit of armor. So perhaps iron could kill faster than stone with that sort of get up he's got there.
This is why we love having you here. Just have all the knowledge,
He
all
told
the
me
number
that week
crunching.
one, and I was like, wait, really? Like, that's actually a thing? And it really is. Like, it's crazy to think of how many little intricacies there are in Minecraft.
Well, and have someone who can articulate it,
Yeah,
too. It's
exactly.
one thing to know them, and then one to be able to recite them offhand and make that good, but gotta enjoy. Gotta enjoy having that extra knowledge here. Almost an analyst desk sitting on the couch with us, so that's nice. But I've been a little bit surprised so far at how few elims we've seen.
We've seen like 4.
If my numbers are
3 or
correct
4.
here, we've only seen 3 of them because I believe we started off with 29, but we see Techno at the spot that we so often see. Maybe the last one to get to the middle, but the first one to get a chance at enchantments, now backing up a little bit, opting not to do that here. And when do you think you go for the enchant here, Tyler? Because we so often see the team that gets there first and has decent armor gets a chance to make it happen. But wait, a big fight going on, and it looks like Brook is going to go down. And I don't know that that TNT is going to do a whole lot for them. The AoE isn't quite that big.
No, but back to the enchanting. Usually, I'd say, for example, XG and Moxie, if they get this kill, I'm assuming they will because 2v1 he's in a corner. If I were them right now, I would immediately head to enchant if I have XP bottles. If you do not have XP bottles, you usually want to rotate around the map, try and get those lower kills, hope they got the XP bottles, get to the middle, and then holding the center down, as you see Nestorio there leaving because I'm assuming there was Techno there previously. Oh, they're chasing someone. But I would assume Techno's already enchanted considering we saw him going towards there. But there's no way he doesn't already have kills and XP bottles. We see there, KYRSPD just eliminated Vicstar. That's a big one.
That is a big one.
And Courage.
Now we see Travs and Nestorio here, and this is a 2v1, but it's much better armor for one of them here, so we'll get to see how good Nestor actually is fighting here. And wow, that was a fast elim, and it's going to give Wisp enough time to get over there as well. And you talk about a product being as advertised right there. That was a 2v1. Made it look easy. So easy.
Also, you see still on the hotbar, he's got 2 Gapples, 3 Pearls, 9 TNT, and a Hardy Soup. Techno had 1 Hardy Soup and 2 Speed Soups. So gear alone, I would definitely say, well, the scoreboard seems to prove me wrong, says Techno has the better gear. But I think that only rates armor and weaponry. In terms of utility, I think Nestor definitely has the one-up right now. He's using the Pearl to go on top of the tree. Like, he has Pearls to spare. Again, there was another Pearl on the tree, so we technically didn't waste one. But we see Marome here for the first time this game.
Excited to see what these guys can do. Like we talked about, someone had literally a vacation for last week, and prior to that, though, back-to-back second-place finishes as we do pretty much go from perspective to perspective. Bajan and Jerome kind of surveying the map. The one place that they can't venture into right now happens to be middle, as you've already seen Technoblade venture out here. We've obviously seen Wisp and Co. also start to make a dive in. And I want to say for Nestorio, he actually does have a diamond sword. Yeah, in the bottom right there. So it is somewhat.
I would like to point out that the middle does not have the enchanting table. I forgot we were on university. The enchanting table is in the back of the building Nestor just entered on that upper floor up there. So they are currently now going to enchant. I was thinking the center, which is where the enchanting table normally is.
Right.
Forgot this map's slightly unique. A very, very popular map. I'm surprised I forgot that, honestly. But we see Techno facing off Marome here. This could be a very important fight for points. Oh, opting to not take the fight.
No, run
Ninja
back
looks
here.
a little undergeared, so that's fair.
Just a little bit here. And now trying to get a couple pot shots here to make it work. But why is Techno's health not going down here? Okay, now does opt to turn around here. It's a big fight, and Ninja is really hurt. Techno does get the pick onto Jerome. Will they get it? Techno has to run and stay alive, it looks like. And now it looks like Bajan is going to go down, and that is big. Techno with 7.5 hearts at the time there. So often we see these teams come out of these fights very bruised up, and the ability for them to keep both of themselves up here, if nothing else, is going to mean that they've at least scored some points over the course of this. And to eliminate a big team, I think That should tell you all you need to know about what this team is capable of, Landon. I know we were very curious at the start, but you know, sometimes if you just listen to the commands of one blood god, you'll be okay no matter where you stand.
And that's the thing too, right? When we saw Technoblid in combination, you know, with Filza, it was a matter of Filza had like new life, right? He was running into the fights. He was starting to engage. We could see the very same thing happening with Ninja, right? I know obviously a ton of experience when it comes into other games. The biggest thing, though, that Ninja kind of has in his arsenal is his ability to adapt. People have talked about this constantly, how he is so good at kind of coming into a new title and starting to master it. So Minecraft could possibly be one of those things. Speaking of mastering, though, XQC just has to find the way inside the map, as he and Moxie thankfully will make it in. Like we said, definitely sparing a few hearts, down to 14. And like we said, not the worst thing in the world, but like we said, the fight's beginning to devolve, or rather begin to dive in toward middle again. It looks as if it could be Moxie actually starting for the engagement.
Last time we saw this area, Nestor and Wisp were holding down the crafting table, so it's surprising to cut back and see Techno, his teammate, and Moxie and XQC up there, because I don't know where Nestor would have went. The border's real low. Speedy opting to get out of that fight if he can make it in time. That was a very high ender pearl shot. He's made it. He would have died by now.
Yeah, running away. Now it's just a matter of, all right, we know there's a bunch of sharks here. There's only 6 teams, and they're on top of a building.
Wow,
naturally.
Filza's just done Wisp.
Wow, okay. So, and I believe that Wisp had the best gear at the time, up at 29. Now, of course, that title going to go to XQC with similar numbers, but that's big. You know, we were just talking about Phil's saying, you know, maybe I don't need Techno to make it work here, and now we see Moxie and XQC, and look who's looking at him right there. Those are some strong windows, gentlemen.
That TNT might have honestly hit Nestor through the glass pane. It did not, or he just has really good armor, because I know in corners, so say where you can see Moxie's name right there, if there's not a block in the corner, Nestor could shoot Moxie through the corner of the wall right there, because arrows are longer than the 0 pixel gap between diagonal blocks. But again, I don't know.
The numbers that you are crunching right now, this is so great. But this is actually really interesting. Nestorio was able to hold them there that entire time. And if he was able to hold them there any longer, it might have been enough damage from the border. But again, a 1-on-2 against a fully geared team. Nestorio's looking pretty good, honestly. And right now, Moxie versus Nestorio, one of the biggest fights that we can have. And Nestorio's holding on really well. 20 TNT left to go.
Wow.
My goodness.
You have the business right there.
Oh, but now Ninja and Techno have come over here.
Oh, look at this.
And that's going to be it. Nestor drops, but not without putting out a huge fight. And now we'll see. It looks like Techno's going to get the chance. No, Moxie gets them there. So that you saw Moxie was on 1 HP, and I don't think XQC was much higher than that.
Nope,
so
2.
Again,
half a heart and 1 heart.
Half a heart and 1 heart, as close as you could get there to the very end. And those teams started to drop very quickly. We went from 6 to 1 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we really did. It was kind of a matter of focusing inside a middle. Then we started to see teams start to kind of straggle their way in. But we were talking about XQC and Moxie kind of prior to that conversation. While all those fights were beginning to break out, it was like, okay, these guys are nearly making it into the storm. Okay, now they're starting to be involved in this 2v1 fight. In certain situations, they were barely staying alive, but they were the team who kind of held on and played that 3P type role that we talk about is so common in other game modes and in other esports, if you will, to be aware of your surroundings. But, man, there was not too many people that could escape Nestorio, obviously not coming up victorious in this game, but based off the amount of eliminations that he found, you've got to imagine those guys are going to be somewhat up in terms of the standings. But a very interesting final few fights. But this is exactly what we talk about, what XQC and Moxie need, right? They need some sort of a boost, and that first Hunger Games might have just done it.
Another skill you can't leave out when mentioning UHC players is not only their PvP and ability to not take damage, but also their experience in fighting fights that are very one-sided. If you lose your teammate, you got probably 2 hours left in the game without a teammate.
Yeah.
You got to do a lot of 1v2s. Also, as you notice there, Nestor has a lot of experience, and if he's losing a fight, he can get out of there. He can run for a long time and get back to a neutral standpoint with another team.
I got to say, too, guys, I think that this top 3 won't necessarily, not that it's not going to change, but I think that these 3 teams are really going to be in that conversation. Like, so not that we're not going to, see a few other teams maybe start to make somewhat of a presence felt in other game modes, but I feel like it's not going to be uncommon to see those 3 rosters competing in multiple game modes again.
I agree. And if you took a look right there, they were all at 128, 98, 78. If any one of those teams had won and gotten the survival bonus, that 1 through 3 could have been completely flipped. So that's about as close of a game in Hunger Games as you are going to get. But we now move on to Replica, and this was a deceptively high-scoring mode last week, and we didn't even get to see all of it.
Yeah, we didn't, right? There was a few teams that were beginning to struggle. I think we were kind of calling it even Technoblade, who we always kind of deem as the master at every game mode and every mini game mode. He was even having a few problems with it as well. We started off with a smiley face, and it was like, oh, okay, this is going to be somewhat basic. And then we literally had every single item in the game in different orders kind of mixed around. So I'm excited for this. It's really going to kind of test the wits and the communication. I was actually labeling out a strategy of which you assign different kind of pieces of the board, different quadrants of the board as well to assign toward different players, but that wasn't always the case. I think we saw maybe a few players kind of watching over their teammates' shoulders saying, actually, that goes over here, and then they would do it, and then it would cost so much time.
The classic backseat driver role, it has returned. So do you have any hidden knowledge, hidden tech about this mode for us?
Always. So what I would think, it's a smiley face.
Hey, okay.
What I would think is, I would say XQC and Moxie would have a very good one-up on this because of how good their coordination is. They're very good at speaking to each other. However, the strategy, I would think, they're probably the first ones done.
Oh, Vic and Courage.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
Oh, they messed up something.
Oh, they messed up. Okay.
They went one too high with the smiley face.
With those very crazy patterns we get where it just is seemingly random, what I think might be the fastest idea, if you have a very good coordinated team like XQC and Moxie, would be to have only one person build and one person just read off the blocks left to right, line by line, and just switch and build.
Wait.
That is upside down.
No. You know, if that was an actual, if that was a reflection, that would have been correct. But, man, okay.
When I watched this last week, I also thought it was supposed to be built that way. And I was watching Techno's perspective first, and I'm like, he's building it upside down. And then he won. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least the first round.
Oh, man. Definitely a few teams trying to jog their memories a little bit. I want to say I also noticed when Technoblade and Ninja were placing blocks, it was Techno placing them, and Ninja, I think, placed down 3 in total. Just kind of like watching from afar, like, oh, okay, we're doing good. But next, another interesting
snowman face.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Wow.
So the snowman mob usually has a pumpkin on his head.
Right.
But if you don't have a pumpkin texture in your texture pack, or if somehow you spawn one without a pumpkin, this is the face it has on the default texture.
I like that.
Well, there we go.
Vic and Courage.
Or at least something
Goodness. Back-to-back first-place finishes. I know Symphony and Brooke have also kind of been in that conversation as well, rounded out by Techno and Ninja. So I said all teams beginning to come to a close. Not as not all that difficult, but I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for
we know.
I want to see
difficulty. I want to see if my friend the alligator comes back because
that was a nice one.
That was a fun one, but we are absolutely going to hit the kaleidoscope eventually, and that's when it's going to get a little messy here. So
dicey.
I believe that everyone has finished now, which is why we're kind of starting to see things slow down. Zerka, Bazinga, 14, and I believe we do have 15 teams. There 15. We go, Dolan, Darky, Grande. So this is nice. This is a chance for every team to earn a few points as we get into our next one here. And this, I think 4 is when it started to get hard last time. And
Techno.
It's fun. Last week we had a player up there as well, and now we have Techno.
Skippy. Now we have Techno and probably someone else. Although if you did see on the score for the last round, in the top 5 included Techno's team, Moxie's team, Nestor's team, Vicstar's team. All the top PvP players are still ahead in Replica, so that might not be so good for the non-PvP teams.
That's very scary if you had a slow Hunger Games and maybe you're not ultra confident when it comes down to your PvP skills. That's for sure. It's like, oh, well, hey, at least we can kind of outperform them when it comes down to this game mode. And you realize, oh, they're also very good at that. So not always going to be the nicest.
How do you think it feels for XQC and Moxie to get a first place on the Techno round? How do you think that?
I think that feels great, especially because you took him down.
That is true.
Well. Like
that is true.
I will say it was very close, even at the end. Like when we had everyone kind of being thrown into the end, whenever we saw like a number of different kind of dynamic rosters battling it out. I think that one felt extra good. I'd imagine, which we don't have the reaction from XQC, it was either incredibly calm or it was very, very hype. It's one of the two.
I definitely think that would be a nice perspective to see. Dolan Dark there, is he alone? I don't see.
Grande couldn't make it, unfortunately. What is this one?
I see the eyes. It's a cowgirl?
I'm looking sideways? I have no idea.
So the on average, Minecraft skins, so you see the green hardened clay with the white hardened clay on the outside. That's what pretty much 80% of Minecraft skins' eyes look like with the coal block eyebrows.
Right.
And there's like a cobble like makeup thing around it or something. I'm not entirely sure what this is or whose skin this is. It could be a player that I don't know.
Could be.
Although I know most of the players, so it's surprising that I wouldn't have ever seen the skin before.
All we need to know is that it's a new
The realm
objective
finishing
for the
first?
players to get done, and Techno and Ninja getting second. Techno and Ninja have been top 5 every round so far, so whatever we saw there on that first round that was slowing them down, placing blocks over one another, they've apparently got it figured out. But this is the real story, right? Can Dolan get this by himself?
I feel so bad for him,
15
man.
seconds. This should be doable, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Come on.
Just the intensity begins to build. Like, oh, 5, 4, come on. He's got it. Oh, this is going to be.
No!
Wait, he had a firework go off. I don't know if that
I think that
means-
just means the round ended,
I
possibly.
I thought so, too.
Skeppy again.
Just trying to give maybe some
Let's hope he doesn't break
inclination
it.
that he got it. Rather unfortunate. Good effort there from good old Dolan Dark, but here we go. The build's beginning again, and like we talked about, the oh wow, look at that. K-Wire Speedy just casually turns around, hands off a block to his teammate's sidearms, and says, "Go!
This is looking good.
We're on the hunt."
What I'd like to know is that button up on the right side gives you a pumpkin on your head and lights you on fire and makes it very difficult, and you cannot remove the pumpkin. So I'd like to see how many teams that did not play last week press the button and get trapped in that situation and have to play an F5 for the rest of the game. Because I know that happened to, I think, Grande, it happened to XQC.
Oh, did it really?
It happened to quite a few players last week.
Oh my gosh. That's actually amazing.
Looks like we didn't break the game this week, so we'll go on to see the full replica, hopefully.
Let's take a look here. Again, 10 seconds. Rapid fire, but the teams have gotten better. Last week you saw we're a little slower there. There were still people trying to get in, but wait, Dolan Dark and Grande finished. He got it this time. I know this one's a little easier, but
Well, just
still.
Dolan Dark.
It's
Or
Dolan.
no, or, wait, is it Grande?
No, it's just Dolan
That's right,
now. So
okay.
Dolan got
Right.
it. And now let's see. Is
Props.
it getting harder? No. Nope, still
Jerome
not
again?
yet.
Jerome.
Jerome once again.
Oh, I love this.
What's surprising me is that it still says Dolan Dark and Grande without him being on the server, so I don't know how the team registers him as playing, but regardless, we're on Jerome's skin, so Jerome gets to build himself this time. We'll see if he knows his skin the best. And he knows his skin the fourth best.
You see it?
Moxie, they're masters.
They have done so much research on these other players that they
They
know immediately how to build it there.
And
They've
so we
won
faced off
Techno.
against them a decent amount of times. We know what that face looks
Well,
like.
they've won Techno. They have won. It's almost like I don't know. It's almost like Pokemon. You've captured them now. You've won there.
I like
So-
that
I
you've
love
dubbed
that.
Hunger Games Techno.
Yeah.
kind
Well,
of is
no,
that.
Techno, the Techno skin that came up.
Oh, right, okay. my
They
bad.
won that one too. I mean, you probably could dub it. I mean, that was how it all started here,
Fair.
but it is still fun. And come on, Chris. Come on, Chandler. Here, this is
You guys
just.
got this.
I was gonna say it.
So that's another strategy I've seen some teams use, which is use the base first very quickly and then just have someone fill in the details afterwards. There are many different strategies you could do for all these, and we see probably 3 or 4 per round on all these different teams just at a glance. Next is this Keemstar skin, I think?
Is it?
I have no idea.
We said we
that
thought
does-
this one was a rabbit last week. Is
I
what we
thought it was a
settled on.
bat last week.
I can
and then
actually see-
I rewatched
I
and
see
thought,
that
you know,
now.
I think that's Keemstar.
It very well could be.
I actually like bat now. I've been swayed. I've been swayed over to the bat
Kind of
side.
looks like a bat, like those big red eyes, a big red
right,
nose.
right, and then the big teeth. That would make
Yeah.
sense.
I think it's up to anyone's interpretation. I think it's open.
a nice artistic answer.
Moxie and XQC in second.
I
Technoblade Ninja
definitely
still
do
up
think
there.
that's Keemstar.
This is good though because we've again seen the same 3 or 4 teams up in the top 3 and 4. So again, legitimate skill that goes into this, and again some big points that can be won from this too. And it looks
And
like
there we go. Nope.
No, one
We
lower.
haven't.
Wait. Is
Oh,
it?
they're missing the brown stain, brown hardened clay between the nose and eyes. Or those are the eyes. Those are the big
there
eyes.
we go.
That one sneaks up on you. And Dolan Dark, Grande. I know they're not there, but they're hanging on. I love it.
8 out of 12. Now I'm still waiting for the explosion to hit the kaleidoscope. No, still being very generous to us. Which one is this?
We instantly look at Arrow and we're just like, okay,
Yeah.
Arrow,
What's
please
this
tell
one?
us what this one is.
The classic
We need
T block
guidance.
from Tetris. That's what this one is.
It actually looks like surely that's not it, right?
For a second, I
everyone
thought
loves
it might have
Tetris.
been Fitz because he has like just the white F on his skin, but it's certainly not Fitz. I honestly have no idea what this is. It could very well be T from Tetris. The next Smash
go
Bros.
with that.
Character T block.
We'll go with that. I'm a big fan of Tetris.
Yeah,
Tetris
I
is-
think everyone likes Tetris.
I've had a few people say that they're just like Tetris is boring. I'm like, have you played
I love Tetris.
the right Tetris
Well, I mean,
games?
I feel it worse. You are indifferent to Tetris.
I agree with that.
That's kind of how
Tetris
I.
for Jeff.
Is it true that Minecraft recently passed Tetris as the most played game? Because I've heard that from a few sources
I
that
don't
could
know,
be
honestly.
wrong.
That would be
I
quite.
would not be surprised if it's
feat.
true.
Well, it's also got years of legacy it has to catch
Yeah.
up to.
Right.
So to be able to do that quickly would be a big deal. Oh, the pumpkin head, Wilbur. Wilbur had it. Well, okay, what does he have to do to remove it now? Can he remove it?
As far as I'm aware, if they didn't change anything, you can't remove it. You just have to press that F5, play in third person for the rest of the game.
There we go. It has arrived.
All right, my prediction is XQC and Moxie or Vicstar and I forgot the guy's name. It starts with a C. I'm sorry to that guy. I don't know him. Either of them are my prediction for the top one in these sorts of games because you could easily have, like, you see Zerka here. Whatever, his other teammates in the corner. I thought he was going one by one. His teammate was reading it to him, but he's just looking at it himself. They have opted to split it half and half, which could work very well. But again, I think the optimal solution would be to have one player that's very well coordinated,
Oh my.
read it off to one player that's strictly building and is very good at picking the right block on the hotbar quickly, and they'll go back through and pick out errors, which might be a little more difficult if you make errors. But if you don't make errors, I think that might be the better way to go.
And that's why this is so tricky, right? If you put everything down, you have to go back and figure out where you placed it incorrectly. And I think that's what they're going to have to do now. I think that there's one extra blue block there that should instead be that coal block. And now they have to identify where that is. So we see right
XQC's
there,
got it.
they've got it. But no, that's not
Nope,
right.
It's not Cobble. It's leaves. Oh, leaves. There you go.
Oh, but Techno and Ninja actually slid in there and got the win. Victory! Only two were able to get it, and to get it
Wow.
that late in shows you how difficult that was. We always say there are a
Okay.
few
It's back to normal.
inevitabilities. There is, of course, death, taxes, and Techno calling hacks whenever somebody beats him.
I love
Not
that.
even close.
Every single time. It never is rendered anything else other than hacks.
If you
Straight
want to
up
beat
hacks.
Technoblade, you better build for another 100 years.
Yeah. It's going to have to keep building off of that, I guess. I don't know.
Now, what would be funny is if they slightly changed the smiley face and moved it like one block lower, which I thought
be
they did at
cruel.
first, but I honestly think they did not. That would have been very funny, though.
Hey,
Let's go, Dolan.
The
Okay.
jump up and down, yeah. He actually beat some teams.
He beat Typical Gamer in Samara.
And he
And-
beat Techno in what?
How?
How
Wow.
in the world does
They
that work?
surely were AFK. No offense, but they've been placing so high.
How do they win the one before this and then get 14th on the smiley face the second time we've seen it?
And we do talk about every single one of these courses is important, right? I mean, it's a matter of literally if you're not in that top conversation, if you're missing out, it can hurt you from time to time. So I gotta say, missing out on situations like that could somewhat, in the end, bite them a little.
This is someone hiding behind grass.
I believe so.
I do not recognize the skin.
Is that like a hat? Like a
It's like
Or it's
sort of
blue hair.
lumberjack.
Is this a... This can't be Ninja, can it? Blue hair?
No, if it was blue hair, they would have used like a light cyan stained, not stained, just light blue wool, I would think.
Is that a gnome? Even Lake doesn't know what it is. We have
You
no
know?
hope now.
Now that you mention it, that does look a lot like a gnome.
It kind of does. Has
There's
resemblance.
a little something wrong with the face there. Actually making mistakes instead of that was correct, and then he messed it up.
This is exactly what they did last week. This is the team that I was referring to. Like they literally like look over each other's shoulders, like, no, it's not this way. It's actually this way.
Their whole mouth is completely. Maybe they're not as well coordinated as I gave them the respect for.
Oh,
I
wait, now I'm
love
seeing
this.
that this is Keemstar is what Dolan says. Is this...
No, previously it was the Keemstar's face because we.
Well,
see
that's
it
what we thought, but
when-
we weren't sure.
Well, it shows it whenever they click on the minigame.
Well, that's a very large jaw that they formed. Wait, I guess they got it right. Oh, maybe it was like one block prior to that. I thought that maybe was messed up. Here we go, though. 12th and
round.
final round. I'm not even going to try to explain this.
Looks
I have
like
no idea.
Redstone with particles coming off.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
that's what I was going to say.
Ah.
I like the shading with the bricks. That's unique. Ninja's already made a mistake. He's fixed it. There we go. Snow block. Get that particles on the top left.
There we go. Okay, we're improving.
what I would personally do, I wouldn't do the strategy that I think is the best because of the potential error and having to go back and find an error or fix an issue. They're very good on them. I think it might be better just to take your time at the beginning and just memorize the picture, just count the pixels. Maybe I have a better skill at that because I've worked a lot with pixel art in the past. But I think just taking your time to memorize it at first and then just building it in one go without having to look back would be another very good strategy with a lot less risk than the one I said previously. That might be a better alternative, but we'll see how that works out.
Close it out, Dolan. Close it out, buddy.
One more. White.
Corner?
Let's
Yes!
go.
And he's not last place. There's 16 teams, isn't there?
That is a round of applause for Dylan Dark, ladies and gentlemen. Gets it done. 15th place, don't worry about it. We have so many teams that he's lighting it up for the squad. But that will be it for Replica. It's an interesting week. We got some new pictures, some old ones as well, and we'll have to obviously be visiting out that scoreboard here soon to try to get somewhat of an idea for where the teams are currently lying. But I think it's fair to say we kind of saw a majority of the teams still kind of in that top conversation. I know Technoblade and Ninja were always, most of the time, outside of their one smiley face, normally in that top 5, top 6 kind of position. But I'm interested what teams that we maybe didn't kind of catch that maybe we're kind of falling behind a little bit.
Falling behind. I know that Team Marome was also up there a lot in XQC and Moxie and And again, last week we really didn't get to see exactly how many points you could theoretically score. I know we're going to be bringing that up here very shortly, and here it is. And indeed, sitting at the top, Moxie and XQC, Techno and Ninja in second place, and that's a lot of points. They were at how many before this? We were still in double digits.
Yeah,
they had 198 before this game. This could be the new Find the Button. It is replacing it after all.
Jeez.
Now, one thing I'm noticing is Wilbursuit and Filsa at number 3. That's a team we hadn't really mentioned that much at all previously.
I know that they were like a majority. Like every time I would kind of look down, I felt as if they were normally around top 5, top 6. So that is an interesting kind of lineup for these guys. Super excited to see them where they're at right now in terms of the standings because they rise over Vicstar and Courage, who were looking very good in the early stages of the Hunger Games. But as you were kind of calling it, or rather we were kind of discussing this together, this could somewhat be forming into a new Find the Button type mode because consistency really has been winning out.
It's consistency, and also it's another mode where no matter how good your opponents are, you are still more or less in control of what it is needs to be happening. You can obviously finish a little lower, but nobody can eliminate you. No one can stop you from getting points. It's just on you to make that happen. And in a mode where it's not really a honed skill set of specific PvP elements, it's a good opportunity for you to catch up.
One thing I did notice there is I did not see Nestorio and Wisp on that top 10 scoreboard.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think Wisp ran into some technical difficulties.
Did he? Okay.
And with only one person, that does make it very different to keep up. And
As
if you
Dylan
aren't
Dark
scoring
shows,
well, again, you can see how quickly you get passed up.
Right. That's unfortunate for those guys. We'll see if they can maybe kind of start to rebound as the game does go on. But let's go and focus our attention now right toward some bingo because this one is going to be interesting, right? We've seen a few different times in past where players have really struggled. We've seen, as you like to label it, some diplomacy where players even hand off some items. We've watched players fish for hours. Bingo, you never really know what's going to happen. And I know we obviously don't get a chance to look at the bingo cards early, but this really kind of is the test of wits, the test of knowledge when it comes into Minecraft. And from what we've noticed, because it has been XQC and Moxie, I think the last 2 weeks, at least being in the top 5 for completing their bingo cards, the one thing that they have specialized, go for the difficult items first. Wipe those off the board, then you start to kind of feel more comfortable. A lot of the standard items are, very common. They're right around you. That, for me, kind of has been the key to success, and the reason why we've seen them finish off the way they have, I think, is because of their priorities.
I would agree. I think that is the strategy to go. Dubbed the bingo god himself right now by Techno is Filza, so we'll be watching this perspective a little bit for you so you can identify what's going on. I'm curious how Techno and Ninja will do here because usually Techno is the one who has to bring up the wiki and identify where to find things, and I can't imagine that Ninja has more knowledge than him, so I'll go ahead and quiet down a little bit and we can hear maybe what these guys are going for.
I'm running now. I'm trying. Before anybody else breaks it.
One thing to note, though, is you were talking about diplomacy in this game. However, they changed it, so when you craft an item, it disappears. You cannot give it to another team anymore.
Right. So here diving down, of course, spawners have been named. Lake very kindly putting some spawners out. I know mobs can be difficult to find when there are this many people going for them, but the fight over the spawner is also an interesting thing. Remembering, I don't even know who it was. I'm going to assume that it was Jerome and Pagan who were dumping buckets of lava on people as they were trying to find things around that spawner area. So that is something you can do. We've said if you can find a way to make it PvP, someone will figure out how to do it. So that always is a lot of fun to see. But if you have not watched Bingo here, we do tend to rotate between multiple perspectives, so you will get to see what these guys are talking about. And it is very fun to see the difference between the more chill streams like we're seeing right here and the more intense ones.
Oh, they've taken it.
Maybe going for some coal, like we said, based off the bingo card. We'll have to get somewhat of an idea for things, but another kind of interesting factor, which, you know, is somewhat common. A majority of the teams, depending on the items in the bingo card, will sometimes kind of have someone sit up top in the high ground, kind of search out, look for key items, while they kind of have one major minor pretty much go for everything, which seems to be in this situation, right? We go from Phil's and now over toward Typical Gamer. He looks to be kind of focusing on this one as well. Very excited to see TG kind of throughout, not just this particular mode, but for the ones in the future, right? We've kind of watched him, as you called it, 9, in the Hunger Games, or rather in the Friday Fortnite, excuse me, now kind of transitioning into the Hunger Games, but a very talented player when it comes into multiple different game modes. We've kind of watched his progression. A lot of people assume, oh, just a YouTuber. He is by far one of the most talented YouTubers that probably could have in some ways a pro career if he wanted to invest enough time into it. And I really am interested to see what he can try to pull off in a game that I know that he's comfortable with.
Right. I mean, it's just the remarkable consistency for those of you who don't follow Friday Fortnite. If you think that Bajan has been struggling to get past third place, oh, the book has been written on third place by Typical Gamer.
It's true.
And partner Thieves. But again, like you said, a lot of consistency. And this is big coming in to a mineshaft right here. Needs to be careful not to get taken down by these spiders, but there are often items that are much easier to find here. I remember a couple weeks ago, I believe it was XQC who actually found diamonds and outright found one of the harder items just sitting in a chest in one of these.
One thing I did notice is that those were naturally spawned spiders, which previously mobs did not spawn naturally. They always had to be in the spawners provided by Lake. So it's nice to see there are other alternatives than camping the spawner at the beginning, fighting over it. Although it also means a lot less lava bucket kills from Rome.
They'll find a way.
I'm sure they'll find a way.
I was just given the bingo list to confirm, because we haven't really seen anyone kind of pull it up. So just to put in perspective, the bingo list for this week is going to be, I know we've already seen it already, an arrow, bricks, a cauldron, a book and quill, a prismarine block, rather white stained clay, green stained glass, a vine, and a golden hoe. So some interesting ones. Excited to kind of see these, but in your eyes, arrow, no pun intended, as an arrow is also involved with the bingo card. What do you feel? What do you feel maybe one of the more difficult ones to search after?
Overall, this seems a very easy and simple bingo card until you get to the prismarine block.
Right.
The only way to get prismarine is at an ocean monument. Where are you going to find one of those besides an ocean surrounded in guardians?
Hopefully there's one nearby spawn.
Well, you can actually ask Vicstar because he just found one. Vicstar and Courage already found it. It was their first item.
Wait.
I missed that.
They did. It
Lake
just popped
did mention
around the bottom.
that they would have to travel a long ways for this. I thought I was looking at the monitor. I thought Kevin Sparkles had dark prismarine for a second, but it was just cactus because he was making the green stained clay.
Interesting. Okay. I have no idea how they managed to get that so quickly.
I mean, if it was the first item they found, so if they just immediately opted to take a little swim and try to find it.
If they ran in different perspectives and just one of them happened to spot it, if they kind of just got lucky, because you have a bunch of different directions you can obviously run in. Who knows? But like we said, XQC, he and Moxie always a top contender. Like I said, one roster who likes to go for the more difficult stuff off the rip. We'll see if that's what they are maybe preferring, and obviously you want to grab some iron off the rip, as that seems to be what XQC is valuing already.
The only possible way to get prismarine from an ocean monument would be if you defeat the Elder Guardian bosses, because they give you mining fatigue and make it impossible for you to break blocks until you defeat all the bosses. And these guys do not have any sort of underwater gear, like even for breathing or ladders or anything. So there has to be something set up by Lake. Maybe perhaps a Guardian spawner? That actually makes sense, now that I think about that. And again, Guardians are the fish with the thorn spikes, and they shoot the lasers. So killing one of those would be very difficult, and you need to kill multiple in order to make a block.
Still have mining fatigue right now. Or at least Courage does.
Yeah.
Courage still has mining fatigue.
I think they're learning this right now. Or maybe Courage for the first time.
Perhaps there is just an ocean.
They just stole a brick from Zerka. Oh, man. I know, obviously.
Some forced diplomacy there.
Exactly. He steals another one. Wow. I was going to say Vicstar, obviously a long history with both Zerka and co. as the sidemen maybe having a few tricks up their sleeves. Courage, though, coming in clutch and says, you know what, we may be having some issues right now in terms of our mining, but we'll just go and take a few items out of the chest. No big deal. I love that. That's hilarious. So unfortunate at the same time.
Okay.
Surprised he didn't steal their wood, too.
That's a very good point.
Don't wonder why I'm completely blind. Got to leave him with something there. Can't take everything.
Vic doesn't know if horses drop leather. Vic, play Minecraft. Yes, they do.
Oh, I hate seeing that. That's unfortunate. I will say, Bajan and Jerome, by the way, I think they have at least 5 out of 9 items.
They
already.
do, yes. 5 out of 9, and I believe that is the highest number that we've seen. Now, again, we've seen in the past how long it can take to find a single item, so even though Vicstar and Courage are lower than that, they do have the hardest item, and sometimes that's worth 5 by itself, so makes it all the more exciting to see as we see. And one conversation that I do want to have real quick that I just completely missed until we had gotten into this. XQC and Moxie won the first 2 games, guys. They scored the highest in Replica, and they won Hunger Games. So you want to talk about the way you started off. Wait a minute. Oh, no. Are we going to see more thievery right here? That was Ninja right there. Okay, never mind. I saw this. I saw the smirk there, and I got very, very worried.
Seeing a lot of teams approach 4 out of 9 now. Is this team not communicating, or am I just not hearing them?
I think we may have them muted, or maybe just no audio on there, and we'll have to try
His
to get
mouth's
that
definitely moving.
in bound. But Bajan and Jerome, they just found their green stained glass. Now they're up to 6 out of 9 items. And this is the thing about this craftiness of Team Rome, is their ability to kind of perform in game modes where maybe other players wouldn't be as kind of more tailored to, right? Their history in playing Minecraft and their ability to kind of always be those consistent guys that are grinding the game days in and days out. I think that kind of gives them an edge versus a ton of the competition.
I'd like to know just how great quality Ninja's webcam is.
It is. It is lovely.
That is wonderful. That is well over 60 frames per second, too.
I have like a $10 Walmart webcam.
That's pretty remarkable. And you can see there at the bottom, Technoblade and Ninja only at 3 out of 9. Meanwhile, Team Rome at 7 out of 9. But that's going to be a golden hoe, so that's good. That's another difficult one that they find. And we always talk about how generally every team scores pretty well here because it's just a matter of getting into the top 5. And even if you don't, you still get 8 out of 9 items. That's still pretty good scoring here. Majority. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And for all we know, Techno might be out there trying to get scramble some Guardian soup, make a little bit happen there. And no, Ninja, please don't happen on stream. Okay.
Hey,
we're okay. We are okay. But again, listen to these call-outs.
I just love the combo that we have of these two, right? Just their ability to kind of be in the call together, working with each other, and just I'm gonna have to go back after the stream is over and just listen to like their comms back and forth. Just because every time we've talked about it, like how kind of relaxed that that we see Technoblade be, like we'll be like, oh, surely he's freaking out right now, and he's just like, yeah, that was pretty easy. That was pretty simple. Then obviously his combination with the Ninja, I think it makes such a funny dynamic. I'm gonna have to go back and watch these two after the day is over.
You did see there, Team Rome is now an 8 out of 9.
Yeah.
However, I do not know what Jerome changed his skin to. It is normally Chewbacca,
Yeah.
Is that a
and now
duck?
it is perhaps Colonel Sanders or something. I don't know.
Oh, what a twist that would be, Colonel Sanders. Camp Counselor, I've heard now. That would be an oddly specific skin, but the only one that they have left is the Prismarine block that we've talked about being as tricky as they can. Have to travel a little bit, said Lake. So now, we have seen this before. We have seen this person on a boat, on the water, but it's not a clownfish they need this time. They have to fight through some fish now to get the Prismarine block.
One thing about that is if they would have gone to anywhere where it was raining, that would have helped them out a lot. Oh, Jerome now sees the ocean monument.
What is this field of view?
I'd say
like
probably
10 blocks on my computer.
Probably 70. The default, I think, is 80.
I think so.
I play on 90. I used to play on 70. He's teleporting to him.
Oh, there it is.
Now, is Mitch teleporting to Jerome and just delocating because of the desync? What is his skin? Is that the Crimson Chin?
Maybe Shazam.
I saw the little yellow mark. I'm pretty sure it's the Crimson Chin.
Look at these guys. First one to complete it. I was just waiting for the possible in-game chat from Technoblade just to call hacks.
You heard it right there.
Yep.
I'm going to go get a lava bucket, he says. They are immediately done.
Oh, and
So
you
they're
see
Nestor and
XQC
Wisp on
very
8 out of 9.
focused. A lot of teams getting close. XQC, I was going to say, he and Moxie, a lot of potential for this roster. Only 5 out of 9 items right now, which for me would still be good. But you notice, right, Fitz and Swagger Souls are now 7 out of 9. A lot of teams really kind of toward the end.
I got jungle.
XQC's got the jungle. No matter what call out he makes, he is very into it.
He is. He's very passionate, and I love that about him. Just because of how intense that they want to make these games, they realize the importance of a first-place finish. And to be honest, at this point, with how close they've gotten 9, right? We talked about like third place, second. The way that they've improved, it would only make sense, if not this week, the next week. A first-place finish has to be on the horizon at some point. And I think the way that they kind of started off, as we called it, right, their game win in the Hunger Games, their performance in Replica of still being the top squad, this could be their week. But I know in bingo it's not always the biggest deal, but they really do need to be in that top 5.
They do, and they've won the first 2 rounds, so all the more reason for them to feel excited about the way they're playing, and all the more reason to keep up. Because you see right there, Techno and Ninja currently in second place, but now with 7 out of 9 themselves, getting very, very close. And whenever you see this many players next to each other, nothing good can come from this. So I am waiting to see exactly what all these people in the same area are about to do. I saw Team Marome there as well, so do we know what's next? Skeletons? Do they need something? What could they need with a skeleton?
Arrows, possibly.
Arrows? Would that really be the last thing they're missing is an arrow?
Possibly, if they didn't find any in caves, or if they didn't get any gravel for flint grinding. Although I did find it funny that Techno had to type in chat how to use /TeamTP for Ninja. Had to type it out.
And they are at 8 out of 9, too.
Ah.
Techno and Ninja are at 8 out of 9 as well as Phil's, as you see right here. So
Looks like everyone needs Prismarine.
looks that way.
Except for Vic.
Yep.
Vic got the Prismarine.
Exactly. Already got that one unlocked. Already got that one taken care of.
We may not get anything else, but we've got that.
That's the one thing we can really rely on. It's like we said, Phil's
Because I thought I was going to get.
I'd like to
Wilbur,
see
very
how
close.
XQC reacts to fighting Guardians, especially with mining fatigue if he tries to just grab the block. Because I probably would place money that he's never been doing Ocean Monument before.
Oh shit, that's 2 people.
Vic, Swagger,
Ooh.
both those teams have completed. There's only 2
That's
spots
big.
left. Most teams
Yeah.
are on 7 out of 9. Some on 8 out of 9.
Cam Sparkles and Co. just got to 7. There we have it, 8 out of 9 right now for Ninja. And for Technoblade, you see the intensity, and obviously he's out in the ocean for a reason, guys. I think we may have an idea what this last block
If he goes
Or
to
the
the
last item
right,
could
he'll run
be.
into it. And he is going to the right, so Ninja should be there, at least see it any minute.
I don't even see it. I don't think he knows exactly what to look for. He's getting close, though, and again, as soon as he finds it,
There it
Techno
is.
can do it.
Where do I find Guardians?
Right there. Call it out.
Okay, I think I found it.
Yes! Ask and ye shall receive. But again, there's so many teams that are this close. You have to imagine that this is going to come down to it. We always see 5 teams get to 8 out of 9 and only 2 slots left to fit. So
What's surprising me is both teams we've seen in boats went directly to the Ocean Monument. They had other paths they could have taken. They could have gone more left, could have gone more right.
That's true.
They went straight here. Oh, can they just break the corner blocks without... if they... Or, I guess... Yeah, if there's cows around, they could just get milk and just negate the mining fatigue and just get it there.
Hey!
Awesome.
We just won.
Oh, they just beat the Guardian.
Oh
They
my
all doubted us.
They all doubted us. I love that.
We got the points.
Did they
Nice victory in chat.
close it out?
They
did, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so also
Slap you with some
I messaged
top
the fourth
5
team
as
was.
well for Phil's.
they all doubted us. I apologize. Never again will I doubt Blade and Blevins. That's not going to stick ever, but,
Yeah,
you know,
I appreciate the attempt. It is lovely. I respect that
well,
right now.
it's just a lot of syllables to repeat over and over.
It's true.
Technoblade and Ninja Lover Beast, as the current name is. So
Yeah, that may or may have not been something that occurred in week number 1, right, with Ninja and Mr. Beast teaming up together, which was very, very interesting. But at least for Ninja right now, he has to carry on with that name for future, which, you know, can be somewhat intense, maybe not. Who knows? I have no idea, to be honest with you. But I'm excited, though. I'm excited to see where our current standings are lining out at the moment. I know we kind of have somewhat of an idea where a few of the top rosters may be, but it could be coming somewhat of a closer race right now, considering the way the last 2 games have worked.
It could be. And again, these have been the non-engagement games. We, of course, had Replica. We're going to have Parkour coming up later. And then Bingo. These are really the ones where you don't get to prevent your opponents from getting lots of points. But as we take a look right there at the top, a tie after our first 3 games. Raise your hand if you had that one. What were the odds on that one going along there?
Not predicted.
Not predicted.
Although again,
yeah,
Nestor and Wisp not on the top 10 scoreboard.
No, I don't think that they were one of the 5 teams to finish their cards. So, again, it started becoming a 2-person race. Now, we will say Skywars is coming up, so there is going to be a big chance for them to come back in a mode that should favor them pretty heavily. But, again, so close right here. So many teams within 50 points of each other, even this late. That's the entire top 5 within striking distance.
Yeah, as long as there's these PvP games, they will make their comeback. They may have lost their big gap they could have gotten in Replica if they would have had both their members present, if it's gone as we thought it did. But as long as they get these methods back, they should be fine just to bring it back later in the game.
Well, there we go. I think, like I said, we kind of have our standings right now, and I think we may or may not have Wilbur and Filza on the phone with us. I know we're still working out the details of the interview, so we'll obviously be getting that one somewhat under lock, but excited to kind of see how the rest of the games begin to go, how the progression begins to make itself. But I think, like I said, I think we have Wilbur and Filza with us. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey,
I'm good. How are you?
okay, there we go. How are you guys doing, man?
Good. Yeah.
Doing
on
good.
edge.
All right, yeah.
All right. I got to ask you guys, because we have seen you pretty much kind of rise throughout the standings a little bit up to this point. You guys had a great performance when it came down to the Hunger Games. We saw you play very well when it came down to Replica, obviously involved at the end for some bingo. How's the team morale flowing for right now?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, pretty positive.
Pretty good.
I think we did really well in that bingo game. It was came in close, but we did it.
We've got those high British spirits right now.
Exactly. You gotta ride through with it. Now, like I said, you guys are obviously kind of in that top conversation right now. In fact, in 3rd place. Who are you maybe eyeing out? Are there any game modes that you're looking forward to when it comes down to the rest of this event to try and maybe even rise to that 1st place finish?
Oh, this one, Spleef. I'm
Spleef?
looking forward to, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, bingo's easily my strongest, I'd say.
Right.
I tend to do quite well in bingo, but after that, yeah, Spleef is probably 2nd.
Okay, I like that. Like I said, I'm really obviously looking out for you guys, hoping for some solid placements, but appreciate you guys for taking the time for the interview. And like I said, we wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the event.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you, man. We'll
Absolutely.
do our best.
Yeah, absolutely. We're rooting on you guys. But guys, we're also going to be throwing it to a quick little commercial
Thank you, man.
break.
Cheers.
When we return, we have some more awesome Minecraft Monday action to come. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, Week 12, as we're hopping into our 4th game for some Spleef. It's about to be a fantastic time, and it should be an interesting one. Like we talked about, our first and second place teams currently tied right now, which should lead to some interesting gameplay. We talked about, or rather we were discussing and having a few chats, right, with Wilbur and Kohi and Filza, their conversations, their talk about, hey, how are they going to rise to the standings? And what they said is, hey, we got to be worried when it comes down to Spleef. This is our opportunity to kind of rise through the occasion. And we talked about our first and second place teams. They're currently tied. However, right now, Filza and Wilbur, they're currently just behind them off in that 3rd place.
I did see a minute ago, both Techno and Moxie claimed their corners on the top. However, when I looked back, Techno is no longer there. But you see Speedy tried to contest Moxie. Moxie immediately did not want any of that. People used, it looked like 40 stacks of snowballs just straight at him. Broke all the ground under him, ran out of room.
Yeah, the joke that we always use is threw half the map at him because, of course, the map is ammo here in Spleef. But that really is the strategy that teams use to succeed is they will pick out a corner. They will save their snowballs. If they end up using their snowballs or getting knocked down early, they at least have some ammunition they can make some work get done with. And it's going to be very hard for anybody to approach Techno. This is a pretty good little structure here. Should be able to survive for quite a while. And I know Speedy actually was approaching him there, so another player you don't want any business dealing with. And let's see who's above him there. So that is going to be Wisp, actually. He's got to be careful here. Is that Quackity? So Quackity was attacking, man. They move so quickly, it's hard to read, but again, Wisp being on top there. Techno opting not to use any of his snowballs until he absolutely has to. And Lena, we've seen that kind of become a dominant strategy over the course is, they who fire first fire worst.
Yeah, that's for sure, right? And it's kind of like I said, the continued conversation of, maybe not engaging is kind of the way to go, right? Trying to hold on to those snowballs, maybe try to play passively, hang out in that first tier, if you will. Don't progress yourself onto the 2nd floor unless you absolutely have to. And like I said, always be sparingly because everyone's earning the same amount of points. If you eliminate somebody, it's not the worst thing, but everyone else is earning the same amount of points that you are, and they didn't have to do any of the work. But like we said, Techno, Moxie, currently maybe engaging here soon as Sidearms actually decides to go and toss out a few toward Techno. And I think Techno's kind of hanging out on his own island, his own venture point, has a few guests watching his gameplay. Looks as if he could be diving into the fight here soon. But this is the exact strategy that we talk about, right? Techno, very aggressive, very talented player. No one wants to engage. No problem. He'll go and hold on to this and just keep on moving.
Generally, staying passive in games like this to anyone at the same or lower level than you works out very well in Spleef. If you engage with someone, they will engage back, which if you throw a snowball at someone, you guarantee someone will throw a snowball at you. If you do not throw a snowball at someone, they might not. You might stay safe. You see Techno over there sitting in his corner. No one's looking at him. He's not looking at anyone else. He's probably just talking to Ninja, having a good time.
So the one scary part about this, though. Probably so. The one thing that is kind of scary about this, though, is that Techno's going to have a hard time if he opts to make the jump. So he did make it safely. I was going to say, if he makes that jump and a gust of wind hits him, he's not going to get there. He's going to get taken down, but he is opting to move back into the center. And this is where having these snowballs is important. Because, again, there's less room for you to make the snowballs with. And why we've seen the strategy that Moxie is using right now work so well is if anybody tries to approach, there aren't many pathways. It'll have to be a jump. He can knock him off. And if it comes down to the late game, he has enough room here to make enough snowballs to get at any amount of firefights he wants, or snow fights, as the case may be. Swapping my terms there. But this is the big fight. Techno and Moxie engaging on each other.
I was going to say,
there he goes.
Moxie getting antsy there. 70% of his screen time was on Techno, who was alone on one side of the map. The other 30% was on every other player. So he was eyeing Techno that whole time. The second he looked away, Techno got him off. So good on him.
Speaking of Techno, was that Chandler who said $10,000 if you take out Techno?
Maybe Mr. Beast money. Maybe
I was going to say, I think that was the case.
Oh, and does take down somebody else. So just towards the side, Techno instantly says goodnight to one and instantly throws out some more snowballs toward what is the final player left just in the horizons. Techno wants to get off to a hot start. And we'll see if this player can do anything, and they do. Who was that?
Chris O2?
It was Chris.
What?
That was a very risky jump on Techno's part. He might have got a little too confident.
Chris looked over to Chandler and says, "Where's that $10,000, buddy? Appreciate it." What a win!
Okay, for people who don't know the history those two players have, the very first week that we had these mini games, Chris was Techno's partner. That was the week that Techno put up 910 points and still lost.
Oh
so,
my God.
My goodness, insult to injury, salt in the already salted wound. And Techno said, I'm becoming a Fortnite channel now. See ya, everybody.
What was that? Major props to Chris, right, for accomplishing that feat. As now, he's got to be feeling a little bit cool, right? You're now the cool kid at school. Let's try to maintain that same prestige. As he'll instantly try to go ahead and make some of a flanking opportunity happen. And he does have that shovel out ready to go. Instantly fires upon Vikkstar and says, maybe I'm taking out multi-champions. Goes for the jump and tries to take down Samara.
He got himself.
Takes down himself. Chris, no.
No one can beat Chris except for Chris.
Oh, man.
What a legend. Oh, that's going to go down in history.
That is legend status right there. That is a plaque that he now deserves, I think it's fair to say.
Here we have Wisp. I've yet to see Nestor for quite a while on any of the games. Perhaps Wisp was the player and Nestor left?
Yeah, maybe something here. We'll try to get to the bottom of that, but I agree. We'll see. I believe that Wisp was at the top for quite a while last time, but I think maybe got taken down in an engagement with someone else. Like you were saying, if you throw at someone, they will throw at you. And, you know, we talk about it so much in TNT Run, but it bears repeating here. You have to find a way to get down safely. And at some point, that becomes just as important as staying up on top, because you can lose two. Just like that, Captain Sparkles almost dropped all the way down. And now I believe we only have two on top. One of them is Techno, of course, but that is going to change Commentator's curse. And I think that everyone else is now on the bottom. So down to 8 left. Fitz in a bad spot. Techno going to happily get the 3P there. And again, this is great for Techno. This is going to be 2 top 6 finishes, maybe even beyond that as we take a look there. Moxie, there is one up on top. Who is it?
It's either Travs or XQC. It looked like it said Travs. Although, does Moxie think it's XQC? Because he looked at the monkey skin, crouched, and then looked back. So, I know he's got it unless Travs. I'm sure XQC's telling him. But one thing I noticed was, I know previously, last time I was here, I mentioned I had no experience with Spleef. However, I played one game on the public server, mcmonday.com, the 1.8.9 server you can play on right now if you're watching. I noticed what works very well is a lot of these players crouch at the sides, but I tried crouching in the middle, and I don't mean to brag, but I've played one game of Spleef and I've won one game of Spleef. So.
All right, best win ratio in the world. Truly,
infinite.
Yep, I've never lost a game of Spleef as far as I can remember.
That's a big deal.
It also had about 9 players, so judge that.
Yeah, details. The more you don't need to talk yourself down anymore. We get it. We get it.
My point in that strategy, though, was you see these other players camp at the ledges. Everyone else by now has learned to look at the corners. Like, oh, someone's probably up here. Let me just hit him down, and then there's nothing underneath them. If you stay in the middle, you have a lot more blocks to jump around. If someone starts shooting at you, you got a lot more areas to go. You can also just jump down by yourself if you feel like it's safer. There's just a lot more options if you stay towards the middle. See Trav's there. If he was on the corner, there's no blocks in the corners unless you land on the island.
And you see instantly in chat, Technoblade types out, Travs, please take down this man Moxie. Silence him. Get him off the server. Don't let him have that extra survival point in the prestige of winning one of these games. And he might be doing exactly that, and he will. Travs gets it done for the squad, as that will be a victory for him in Game 2 of some good old Spleef. But like we said, we'll be moving on to the next one.
Does that make Travs now the better monkey skin? Is he the new XQC?
Could be. Could be. Who knows?
That is powerful words. Saying that anyone is the better XQC is sure to draw the ire of one XQC, but that's okay because all is fair in love and war. And again, Moxie not getting that extra point could be a big deal later in the game. We have seen 12 points decide 1st through 4th place in the past, and Techno's already on the other level, taking out Speedy there, not even needing to throw a snowball here. Another name we haven't said a lot is Ninja, though, and that's big here. We talk about in Spleef, you have to be able to have a number of different people score for your team. They have to both pull their weight, and now look at this. XQC going after Techno and narrowly escaping. No, still going after him here. Oh, this is brutal.
I've been noticing so far some unusually aggressive plays from Techno as he gets XQC.
I love that.
That always happens.
It does. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to use all my snowballs to take this guy out. It's like, and Techno laughs like almost to himself and says, okay, I got what, 4 snowballs? We'll make this one somewhat funny. Instantly takes anybody down. There are so many like instant karma compilations that could be made after someone tries to poke the bear.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that was Techno that did it. I think someone just
might
saw
have been.
XQC like,
It might have
he
been.
hasn't moved in a little bit here. Let me just dig right under and see if that's the strategy.
Oh, and Techno, you see him focusing on Moxie specifically, venturing out, seeing everybody in line sight. And look how many snowballs this man has. He's taken down
prepared.
nearly half the course. He has his eyes set on Moxie.
Yeah, at this point, it's just can he hit? He certainly has more ammo.
One thing I've noticed about Techno is he always opts for hitting the player directly. He almost never goes for the ground around them, which honestly surprises me. I feel like the ground's a better option, but I'd like to
Wow.
see how this duel ends.
Wow. This is getting crazy. Technoblade now has to venture elsewhere, and I think that might have been Travis who was trying to add a little bit of insult to injury, but Moxie ends up getting taken down by outside sources, and Techno could have what is the same exit, but still holding on. He's just happy, guys, that Moxie's off the map, and it's interesting, right? Not many players will focus indirectly on one, and I think as Techno fell, he also took somebody with him. Not going to earn the survival points, but at least earns the prestige. A very interesting final few fights as we're down to just 4 players.
If you missed it, that was Christo too, who dropped down to target Techno and kill him
Of course it
immediately.
was. Good old Chris.
See, there again, if Vic was in the middle, I think.
Wait,
he
is
would have
that
a lot
Brooke
more
and
options.
Symphony who are left? It's Brooke, Symphony, and Nestor.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
All right, who had that one? Who had that one? If someone had this, I want the lottery ticket. I want to know what the cards are going to be.
There goes Brooke.
Oh, no. Brooke
And
fell, and now it's up to Symphony.
Here goes Symphony.
I thought he
Outer render.
disappeared for a second. Yeah, oh,
There
from
we go.
long range. Historio, what a shot. Half court, as that's going to be a 1v2 clutch. Earns a few extra points in the process, and my goodness, just what a game of Spleef. This one kind of from each game mode had its own storyline. The biggest one kind of, at least for me, was that Technoblade didn't win a round. But was so close multiple times.
So close multiple times, and again, that could end up being a big deal by the end of it, because we know that Moxie was very far, and even though I know XQC went down and Moxie went down, they were both at least in the top 15, so that'll be good points for them. And Historia, we were saying, hadn't said that name in a while, saying, oh, you're right. I'm sorry, you haven't heard my name. Here we go. Here's my name. Do not forget me. They are slowly but surely working their way back up. They weren't even in the top 10 as of last game, now working their way back into striking distance in 6th place.
I got to say, though, one thing to kind of bring up, Moxie and XQC were tied, right? This was a tie game after our last matchup. Now they're, like you said, kind of not definitely in that first place position, but definitely kind of distancing themselves. We were giving props to Technoblade, and maybe for good reason. It wasn't just the Moxie show, it was XQC. They were both doing it in sequence, as you called out, Nine. It was so important to see Ninja's performance, and based off Technoblade getting that far, he was kind of in the same area as XQC and Moxie were. That could be Ninja maybe falling off early a few times and kind of making them fall a little bit short in terms of survival points.
Maybe so. And to think, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, their best mode is still to come, and it's Parkour. They scored more points in Parkour last week than anyone had ever done. Of course, getting to the checkpoint first gets you more points. They were 1-2 through the first 7 checkpoints. So that means they got some big points right there. And of course, Skywars is going to be our next mode. They could score big there too.
What really surprised me during the parkour was it wasn't Moxie and XQC. It was 1 and 2. It was XQC in first and Moxie in second, which XQC has been very quickly improving as a player since he started playing Minecraft for the show. So it just is great to see him improve.
Yeah, it's great to see that consistency too, because we've talked about, Moxie kind of, at least for this lineup, is defined as the better player of the two, which is kind of difficult to say, but just in terms of the average scores, it's more of a matter of Moxie kind of being around the 750, 760 margin, while XQC is kind of around the 5s, the 6s, if you will. If they're able to kind of play consistency or rather consistent as a lineup, which they've done so kind of throughout their early game modes, if they can kind of keep this up moving forward into game modes of which maybe they're not super comfortable with, we talked about they've got a few along the way, kind of checkpoints, no pun intended, if you will, throughout the Minecraft Monday playlist where they can kind of maybe feel more assured and kind of have guaranteed points, and they could really be champions for this week, which would be interesting. It'd be a tale of going from 4th consistently to going to 3rd consistently to having a 2nd place finish last week and claiming this title. It would be interesting, but a lot of it is based off of that play that we need to see from XQC.
It is, and this is the mode to start showing yourself. We have talked so much about how many more points are going to be available now because of all the attacks that you can do. And look at this. Techno immediately going down and trying the attack. No chance
Swagger
whatsoever.
had no idea.
Swagger's going to go back there, but is on the bridge. That's going to be a very dangerous fight. We see Techno getting swagger. We see Vicstar coming in and getting to the heavy hitters already out here, Tyler.
So you see, Vic almost got shot off right there immediately. But although what surprised me with Techno was I would have thought he would have gone for swagger first and just hit him off because he had gear. But he could have just killed his teammate to bait him in to the the island in order to kill him in a confined area to keep his gear instead of hit him off. Either way, it worked out for him. Actually, and Moxie already at the arches.
Yep. We're already there. That's the big thing with this team is that they know how to play it and know what specialties to go for. And as we discussed, right, prior weeks, when it came down to Skywars, the team that won the majority of this mode ended up winning the entirety of that week. In terms of Technoblade and Filza, they went for 3 for 3. Last week we saw Bastion Aqua. They went 2 for 3. And it looks as if Bajan Canadian, I think, takes down Bazinga at least off the rip, which is not what you want to see if you are a fan of the Sidemen. But if you are a fan of Team Rome, right, that one's got to feel good. That team, which we've talked about, is always a top contender, needs to have a solid performance in this game mode alone. But look at this, guys, already getting involved in that sender. It's Nestorio and Wisp.
They're not just holding an arch down like Techno or Moxie. They're holding down the center of the map. They are in sight of everyone. So they could choose any direction they want and kill every player in that row and then get all their loot because they just kind of tournament-style bracket their ways into Nestor in the center.
Yeah, and one thing that is a little interesting here, though, is the enchantments are up here at the top. And there's also a number of chests that you can go to here. And I think one of the biggest deals about this mode and why it's so different is when the Tier 2 loot comes into effect. And being in the position where you can get that is a big deal. And we might see some unsuspecting people coming down here. Who is the jump going to go on? So it is Nestorio and Wisp as well. And look at this build skill by Moxie. All right, Bo's not a factor right now. And oh, here comes the build. This would be a huge win for XQC and Moxie if they could get this. And Moxie's going to engage.
He wants to try to settle the score, instantly finding a fight, and it looks as if Wisp actually dives down, and Moxie wins it regardless, and utilizing that bucket of water to help out his fall just a little. A massive one to find, and you notice Moxie's so low on health, has to back up, going for that potion of healing, and has XQC there for the beginning. And here comes the fight. Like we said, both these players are weak, and Moxie hits him off the map. What a play, and Ender Pearl could be the only thing to save this, but no, it will not happen. Moxie, what an unbelievable performance there in the clutch.
We talked about 1v2 legends, talking about Nestorio. How about Moxie holding it down right now, knowing that that is a win they needed to have if they wanted any chance of keeping the distance they had already made in first place. Great work to them. And for XQC not to go down either with only 3 hearts, that's huge too, because even if Moxie wins that fight still, there's almost no chance that he's able to get through any of the other teams that are still there, and we know there's still quite a few.
It was definitely a very good fight all around. What I'm surprised with was, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm just shocked that Moxie and XQC did that well against Wisp and Nestor. I'm pretty much proud of them.
I am too. And, you know, the angle that Nestor took to get to that, too, being in a direction where he could have gotten knocked off by that critical hit, I think was a very, very aggressive play, maybe even a little bit. I mean, I understand it, right? 3 hearts left on XQC. You go there, you get that, then you try your luck in the 1v1. Had more HP even than I believe Moxie did at that point. But again, it's so, so dangerous when you are near that edge, and that is what makes Skywars such a dynamic mode. And some names we haven't called off in a little minute here. That is plenty of diamond onto Techno right now, and we know there's a lot of teams in this general area. Will we see a fight as they go up to the top here? It doesn't look like it. Techno hasn't started swinging yet, so diamond sword right there. There's going to be some enchants. They're getting geared up. You see just over a minute left before that sudden death.
One thing to notice is that if Ninja has 2 Ender Pearls, Techno has at least 3, I would say. So he's got something lined up in order to... His only real competition right now is, you see Moxie eliminating sidearms. I'd say Moxie and XQC are by far Techno's biggest competition in this. Not only in points, but obviously just in this round of Skywars. But then also, is Vic still alive? I feel like he would be the second highest threat.
Yes, and I believe that... Is Team Marome still?
Actually, I don't know. I haven't seen the name for a while. There goes Speedy. Sidearms is already down, so it's just Speedy.
Yep.
Can he get around to the Pearls? No, the border pressed him in.
And this is going to be scary here because, again, this is where you start to move in. You have to because you close in. And you'll notice that Techno gave Ninja an arrow Or I'm sorry, an enchanted bow rather, not an enchanted arrow. That would be scary too. But he has that now, and that's one thing you know Ninja's going to know how to use here, opting to fire, and they're on top of a tree, so going to Ender Pearl in. This is where the big fight is going to come in. You see that Moxie is building up high. He likes to drop in on people at the end, but appears that Symphony has wisened up to the strategy as well. Moxie's going to have a very difficult time getting down, is going to jump right in, and I believe that's Ninja going to engage.
Moxie just tried to toss out an Ender Pearl. Unfortunately, it actually goes in the different direction, and he's got 2 players in front, tries to throw out the heroic final hurrah. Did he escape, though? That's the big question. Moxie is down, and there goes XQC. Quick work, says Technoblade, as he and Ninja will reign true. But look at this, that high ground advantage. It's Brook, it's Symphony. What can they get done? It's like we said, hanging out in a tree and looking to try to venture elsewhere. They're very familiar with that high ground advantage, especially if you're Symphony. And they're trying to tailor them down. You also notice Symphony actually does have that bucket of lava. That could really start to cause some damage as Brooke tries to go for the entry. She will fall, and now it's on to a 1v2, and Techno and Ninja will lock this game number 1 in a solid fashion.
So there are 2 very good things I noticed about that. One is that Ninja didn't die to Brooke, which almost happened. Get them those extra points. The other is that the border was bigger than 1 block wide.
That was
were
very
able
nice.
to place blocks. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when it's 1 block wide, they cannot place blocks on the sides of the border because the border is technically in the way, so it doesn't qualify it as something you're able to click on.
And another thing that when we talk about spoiler teams and what they can do here, I know that fight that was between XQC and Moxie and Techno and Ninja was won by Techno and Ninja, but that was only made possible because Symphony was on top of the tree and knocked Moxie down. That additional damage, there's no telling what happens if that isn't there. So when we talk about teams playing the spoiler role, teams that can kind of come in and make a mess of things, that's what it looks like. Sometimes it's only 1 arrow on a top team to make it a difficult engagement, but that is why Skywars is so dynamic, and it's why, Landon, I believe you've called it the best mode? Best mode of Minecraft Monday?
It's personally my favorite from a viewership standpoint, just from the storylines, the kind of final games that we see as Jerome instantly knocked off. Moxie and Sidearmers, maybe an unintentional teamwork coming through as they pretty much bounce one into the other. But for just, little reasons like that, players dropping early, there are so many little storylines that can develop. And I think this is, at least for me, quickly turning into one of my favorite modes outside of the classic Hunger Games. But still yet, the early fights, the interesting storylines. I believe Technoblade just took down Vicstar. Prior to that, I think he actually sniped
knocked him off,
or
probably.
knocked him off maybe as well. So regardless, wiping away solid players.
And Travs is over there with a bow and arrow as well. So you see Techno saying, okay, if you hit me, at least wait until I put the wall behind me so that we can get through.
Just got Moxie.
And
that's very
again,
clean.
that's huge. Getting revenge there. And this is why the beginning of this is so dynamic. We often talk about what happens when you get into the middle and you start getting into the build wars. It becomes a battle of gear, who can get to the center first. But sometimes the best players don't even make it to the center.
Yeah, like previously I heard you mentioning Symphony knocking off Moxie, causing that whole situation. Another thing that's happening right here that's making a big effect on the outcome of the game is Travs existing with that bow. If he can prevent Techno from going to the middle like he is right now, simply just standing there with the bow, not even shooting, forces Techno to go as slow as he can and play as safe as possible. He'll be very behind any other teams on the same side. Never mind, he's already there.
Well, he definitely – no, I think he completely agreed with you, which is why he opted to just use all of his blocks to then build over there as safely as he possibly could. So absolutely some wisdom to what you're saying there, but as so often happens, Techno has made it to the center. Not as well geared up as they were the last time they came up here, but they're in a good spot. And actually, Courage took down Travs. They actually take down each other there. But again, that's big because, again, Travs not being there, like you said, how dangerous he is with the bow is very difficult. And look at this. Well, all the big teams are already in the center. Everyone else just trying to get to the center. You got to love this. You got to love this.
These guys need to learn some speed bridging. Obviously, it's a more advanced technique, but it definitely would help them do better in Skywars if you can just get to the middle before anyone starts shooting at you.
Well, I think it was, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we saw High Sky bring some of the Fortnite 90 cranking speed into this as well. And even, even Vicstar tipped the cap there, said he's cranking 90s, bro. He's cranking 90s in Minecraft. So, yeah, I think you're right there. Definitely some something left to be desired by the build speed here. But again, you see right there at the bottom, all chests filled with that tier 2 loot. All of the teams that are in the center, you're going to start to see them just have diamond everything now, or at least a few pieces of it, as we often see at the end.
And likely even just ender pearls. So if they can just build their forts and then wait until they get tier 2, ender pearl to the center, they don't have to worry about building. That could be their solution to getting around that issue for now.
That's right. We see another nice distant fight there. Fits existing with the bow, as you put it. Just wouldn't it be rough if someone just came up that ladder right now and started to attack them?
Gotta respect the bows. Mitch with a very, I'd say lucky kill at XQC. That could have gone very wrong for him.
Did he? Okay, there it was. That took an
Takes some
awful
time.
long time to
Yeah.
register. I was like, did he just ender pearl onto another island? But we didn't see the warp, and of course it took a little minute. But that's a big, big deal. There are still a lot of players, meaning they really didn't even get that many survival points, Landon.
Yeah, definitely not at least for the time. Like I said, everyone's slowly but surely beginning to venture in toward that center position as Symphony says goodnight to Zerka. We're starting to get kind of toward the edge of things, actually on one of the gates that exists just toward the outside of middle. And nice shot coming in from Wilbur. Low on hearts, but to no avail, comes through and takes down a big situation as Techno also beginning to get involved in that kill feed as well. Takes down Typical Gamer. And I think Techno's even typing in chat, maybe talking about maybe not getting some kill credit. We'll obviously be working on that one. And Symphony also does take down Bazinga. So the Sidemen, unfortunately, say goodnight a little bit too early, but we talked about that sudden death only just a minute away, and that's causing a lot of players to already be aware of what will be the future. The center of the map now becomes the focus.
I do enjoy how often Ninja resorts to building. You can see that style in him.
It's the instinct, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just funny to see that that's his most used solution is just build a wall or a floor or just something just to have it out there. Who we have in the middle here? Nestor and Wisp holding down the fort in the middle.
Yep, and look at all that diamond that they have. It's going to be them getting knocked off, I think, is about the only thing that can slow them down here. But Beijing Canadian has an interesting opportunity to play spoiler here if he's able to get into that center. You see Ninja in a really rough spot right now. Beijing does get Wilbur. Now going after Sparkles, so again, who's going to be able to go up there and make the fight happen, if anybody? And it does look like Nestor's going to get that. Techno still gets an elim there, that's nice, but you see that Ninja very low on health. These are the last two teams, and you have to imagine this one's going to be very rough even for the Blood God. A 1v2, can he get one of them even?
No.
And he is not able to, but I will say, even though this is a win, they did not get many elims. I think they only got one or two, so even though they did have center control, not going to be as many points as if they'd been a little bit more aggressive and tried to get involved in some of those earlier elims.
I did put that down on my mental list of things to talk about, which is, you did notice, you see Techno, he goes around the map, he kills everyone he sees. He gets as many kill points as he can. There's a lot of points and kills. You see Nestor and Wisp, they hold the strong position, and they just camp there until they win. And overall, if Techno repeatedly gets maybe 1 or 2 Skywars wins and then a lot of kills, that's going to outweigh Nestor and Wisp's 1 or 2 Skywars wins with like 2 kills.
It is. We always talk about elims being the most important part in any of these PvP modes. And you know, you talked about UHC's skill. Sometimes survival's, well, I guess all the time survival's more important to them, but not always the case in the game modes that we have presented to them here. So at the beginning of this, always the fun part to see. Symphony barely making it across there. Anytime you bridge across to another island, it's always head on a swivel, as they say.
It's always scary. Yeah,
It is.
It's always like a little bit nerve-wracking. Like you're kind of diving into enemy base and saying, hey, are they aware? Are they prepared? Have they already left the area? Is it open? A lot of different storylines to begin to try and think about. But like we said, Nestorio and co. victors after the first game, and they're instantly going to go ahead and Ender Pearl forward, which I know we were kind of talking about those strategies in terms of that last map. How did Ninja and Technoblade manage to escape? I wonder if they also found some Ender Pearls to quickly get out of dodge rather than try and build away. You never know what could be involved in those chests or those early items, but that's going to be big, right? Try to establish that center control, as you talked about, 9, always seems to be the key, and also had somewhat of a part to play in that last run as to why we saw the victors become champions.
It is, and this is a really interesting position for them here. I wonder exactly what they see or what scared them. You saw that Techno was looking on top of that structure, and I guess maybe they feared a bow, but I don't think anybody was near them at the time. Of course, we didn't get to see the full scope there, but again, it's always worth noting you know, sometimes you can get the easy limbs off the start here, and we look there,
Oh,
and oh my
what?
goodness.
Courage! Courage JD comes out clutch and takes down
So
Technoblade
we have had,
in 100 Thieves apparel.
oh my goodness. So we have seen Chris and now Courage take
love
down
this.
Technoblade, and I guess that's what they saw. We were speculating. Techno did end up getting one elim there onto Vicstar,
Oh,
but
man.
they're going to
I
have
gotta
to
say-
sit this one out and watch the points roll up for their opposition.
I got to say really quickly, knowing Courage as I do, I'm not sure how, I'll say this, I don't know if he realizes how amazing it is to kill Technoblade, because not many people have that ability to make it happen. The fact that he just did it in his first ever Minecraft Monday is a feat all in itself. I mean, you could almost walk away after today and say, I'm some sort of a champion. I deserve to have this title, but here we go. Instantly tested, 2 players just in front, and we'll see how Courage can try to withstand 2 enemies just in front. Drops the first, but unfortunately cannot stay alive for the second. I'll say 2 players, gets the other one down to 3.84 hearts. That's a very solid fight, but to say the least, though, you want to be alive toward those ending stages. A kill on Technoblade is nice, but in the overall scheme of things, it still is valued the same as taking down anybody.
The thing is, though, with Courage taking down Techno, not only is it good for him, it's very good for XQC and Moxie.
Absolutely.
They are slightly above them in points. I think it was like 100 or 200 at the most. And this, without Techno being able to win second, he only won the first one, I believe. Yeah, Nestor won the second one. That's a lot of points for Nestor, possibly. A lot of points for XQC, possibly.
It
their
is.
teams.
Can I just say, though, we have never seen a build that ambitious ever. They have guarded not only all of the chests, they built right outside where the end is. They built right outside where the final spot.
Solid fortress.
A solid fortress right outside of where people will go once that barrier closes in all the way. Now, I know there's still a lot of gameplay to happen, but look at that. They aren't even going to be able to get into the end without breaking all of this. So, you know, you talk about
They've kind of
building.
siphoned into like one area. It's like, hey, you guys want to try to
Yeah,
jump in?
that's exactly what this is.
And they put it right on the edge as well. Like one hit instantly is going to knock you right out the door.
The thing is, if the border closes in quickly enough and you're outside of it, you can't break the blocks outside
Right.
of the border. They
Yeah.
might just get their opponents trapped outside and wait for them to suffocate.
And I
the
wonder if they
wall.
know that too. And they're also going to try
I'm
to
sure
limit
they know
these
that.
trees. This is so smart, right? The high ground advantage that we have seen makes so much of a difference. Oh, what a very smart play this is coming in from those 2 on the outsides. Though Zerka, 1 heart still left, takes down Fitz. Unfortunately, falls just after that, but it really is coming down to the final moments. Sudden death not all that far away, and like we discussed, XQC and Moxie still yet to walk away with a Skywars dub.
A
They
big,
definitely want to change it right
a
now.
big UHC meme is making fun of people that make towers in the middle. So it's very funny to see the UHC players tower in the middle. That's just a personal thing I found funny.
Oh,
There's that
places down
Swagger
the lava.
Souls.
Places
Nice
down the lava.
poison splash potion just straight off the map.
Oh, he's got to go for the jump. He's got to do something.
Well, I think
Have they
these
got a hit
guys
on him?
have the. That's what I was about to ask. If they hit him, they won't get credit for this. If they don't, and it looks like Swagger Souls is going to try and gift Moxie and Elim right there. Again, I don't know if he had the hit or not, but of course, will take that water bucket down. But they have the right idea here. They have to play that gatekeeper role, as we so often call it, and try to slow down other people as they come in to try to get those Elims. That's the only way that they're going to have a chance, because they're not going to be able to engage on Wisp and Nestor the way that they're at right now. And it looks like all the Elims that XQC and Moxie were trying to find went the way of Nestor and Wisp there. So now we see the patented strategy that Moxie employs so often, going to build above and try to fall on. Do they know? They aren't looking up right now.
Oh my gosh, they have no idea. Surely they don't.
Or is this someone else that's there below them? Are they going to opt to wait this out until the very end?
They might.
I would assume so. There's no reason to. I feel like Moxie is a very patient person. He will wait as long as he needs to.
I love this.
He does not want to drop this win.
Here comes the barrier.
Wait, someone's
they're
above
dropping
that?
lava.
Who's
Wait,
above that?
what?
Is this Bajan? Is this Bajan? Please tell me this is Bajan.
There's. Are you serious?
Wait, is that? I think
It
it
is!
Yes.
What a play! Team Rome says, okay, we like high ground as well. Tossing out lava from at least 1,000 blocks above. My word! What a play this is from these guys, as Moxie and XQC have to hold on to their roof. And at this point, you're thinking high ground Filza. He's just trying to stay alive. He's trying to dodge what is the inevitable? The lava not too far away. We have players on 4 different heights. This is unbelievable.
Oh my goodness. We thought that the best build that we would see
How did they
was
do this?
building on top of it. And the difference in the comms right now has to be hilarious because I guarantee all that Bajan and Jerome are doing are laughing right now. All they have to do is drop, scoop up, drop, scoop up. They don't even have to engage.
What is happening?
Oh my goodness.
I bet it would be fun to listen to each perspective in order. You see Philza and Wilbur like, oh, we got the high ground. Moxie next to see, oh, we got the high ground. And Mitch and Jerome, they have no idea.
Well, that's the thing.
We were talking about the prequels in Star Wars today. There's always a bigger fish.
There is. There is indeed. A Moxie going for the engagement. And Philza, unfortunately, falls down to the lava, of which he will not be receiving the high ground advantage. High ground always important.
Did he make
Another
it
Star
out of
Wars
there?
reference, and I think he at least has for now. I know we're hearing like, okay, no, he might be burning to a crisp just off in the
He
corner.
might have a lot of potions. He's made it. He would have given up.
He's holding on. Oh,
there we go.
Moxie says, staying alive for just a little bit too long. But I love the dynamic that we're watching right now as what, Nestorio and Co., they're on the ground level. XQC and Moxie just above them. And on the highest of heights, do we have Bajan and good old Jerome just tossing out lava bucket after lava bucket?
I was confused to see Phil's head inside of lava because the player head should be counted as a block, and that doesn't make sense because you can't waterlog player heads. So I'm very confused as to how the lava flowed inside of Phil's head. Oh, the lava pours out of the border. That's good to know.
It is, but all right. So
Wait, they have TNT.
declare a stalemate. People are calling. Yeah. Does anyone want to start the stopwatch here just to see if we can
Might have to.
make sure? Like, you can't approach Bajan and Jerome right now.
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to?
Wait.
How are you supposed to approach that?
That's a very clever idea by Moxie.
Is slash TP?
What? We're bringing in the big dogs now. Here comes the
Okay.
Ender Dragon.
Normally, one Ender Dragon is kind of a Skywars thing. This is a bit much.
Oh, no.
Go
It
straight
nearly
to the
just
top.
wiped him out. Team Rome, they're hanging up by a thread, and they place down the water.
Very smart move.
They're prepared. They're ready. If they begin to fall, they will at least have the water to grasp onto, but blocks spread everywhere as everyone begins to cradle themselves and just hope that they can stay alive for just a little bit longer.
How is nobody dead yet?
I have no idea. How are they still all afloat?
They always could just kill the dragon, get those nice 50 levels.
Oh my
One
God,
shot.
the wing just nearly took down. I think that was Jerome.
It looked like
Jerome's
someone
asking
said.
for more even.
Oh my God. Oh, they're going to go and siphon their way down. A smart call.
The weather would be a better choice because it would just shoot exploding heads that would break blocks.
Oh my God. There they go.
Bajan yells Leroy. He's going in.
This is why we love this mode. So interesting as Nestorio. They've got their own room set up on ground level, and I think that Bajan just fell.
No, he died to the Ender
He
Dragon.
died to the Ender Dragon.
Which has 200 hearts left. Wow, close fight.
Oh, Jerome falls as well.
Wow.
Have these guys even taken any damage? This really only affected one team.
This is unbelievable.
We still have XGC and Moxie, though. Have they got hit by the Ender Dragon? I haven't
Bajan
noticed.
says we tried.
They did.
A valiant effort.
Credit to them, a team that had no reason to come down, opts to come down for sheer sportsmanship. But XCC and Moxie are not playing for sportsmanship. They're playing to win right now,
They are.
as they should. And now some hits are attacking in.
Oh my God.
Everything, the frames!
I would very much like to see XGC's perspective right now, solely out of his voice.
We love Skywars, baby. It's so good.
Kevin Sparkles,
Withers!
find the button next time.
Oh my God. But the fact that they're still alive, both of these teams, is so impressive to me.
That's an interesting conflict. The Withers are actually fighting the Ender Dragon.
Oh my God. Everyone's sticking out, trying to hang out and be alive right now in their little apartments. As Nestorio, I think, is hanging out toward the top side. I think that they actually built a little bunker possibly for them to escape if need be, which would not be a bad call.
That's a very smart plan.
So Turtle Wars.
Oh wait, Nestorio, I think he might be trying to make the play. I think he's trying to sneak his way up.
He's got a long way to go.
He does. He's got a lot of lava to face. Thankfully, he's got a very solid amount of stone blocks. His thing at least silence themselves for now. I can only imagine what we've got in store here for the future. But, oh, man. Moxie looking to make his way down.
Someone took damage.
I think it
It's an
was
Ender Dragon.
Yeah, I think it was the Ender Dragon in that situation.
I had the same thing. I'm like, oh.
So at this point, is it just a matter of who runs out of materials first?
Likely.
Because I'm looking at this, and Astorio's
Wither
got
is attacking the
way,
Ender Dragon.
way more materials to build with right now than Moxie does.
Or we just wait until Lake expands the border.
It's true. Here come a
there's
few
a fight.
engagements.
There's a
Or
fight.
it just starts. Moxie's down.
So Wisp got
Physically.
XQC.
But Moxie, he has a great angle. They actually can't hit him right now because he's actually just around the glass. They couldn't hit him from that
surprised they're still
particular
trying.
point of view, and now he's still venturing toward the bottom, and the fights are not stopping here. Nestorio taking still a decent amount of damage, and Moxie is making this look as if it's a spawner. He's engaging that well, and he just took down Wisp. Tries to put up... Oh my
Moxie's
gosh.
got it.
Moxie threw out the Ender Pearl to come from the top side and instantly caught the enemy off guard. What an ending.
I'd say that was very well played by Moxie.
As well as you could play that situation. You said earlier, I'm pretty sure Moxie is a patient player. That goes beyond patience.
Yeah.
That is patience on top of skill, on top of every other wonderful adjective that I could throw on top of that. But
Insane.
that is just remarkable. And again, the clutch win that they needed in order to keep pace, because we said already, two of your main competitors have already gotten a win.
Yeah.
And I know that time XQC and Moxie didn't get as many overall elims, but they got the victory bonus. That's going to be big for them right there. And it's even better for them that Techno and Ninja did not stay up long enough to get really many elims or many points that last round. So, guys, I'm not entirely sure how close this one's going to be. You have to imagine those three teams are going to be our top three.
Everyone usually talks about high ground in games, just in general, in competitive games. High ground's a very good thing. However, in Minecraft, Melee specifically, you always want the low ground if it's 1 to 2 blocks. Because as you see, the arms for the player are on the upper half of the body, of the hitbox, of the hurtbox, or rather. So if one player is under, one player is slightly over, the player that's on the bottom can reach the other player's feet. The player that's on top cannot reach any part of the other player.
Right.
As you saw there, they kept filtering into the water. Moxie
Looks like
stayed
a mob
still.
spawner
just-
almost. Like,
essentially, yeah.
that's incredible. Moxie clutch at the end. Like we said, passive plays will lead them to still holding on to a narrow advantage. 796 for them. Techno, Ninja holding up second. And Astorio and Wisp locking down third. As this game continues to get more and more interesting this particular week, I got to say, man, that end, when we're talking about, we have Wither, we have Ender Dragon flying in, and the fact that they still stayed alive for that portion. I mean, there's lava. I mean, everything that you can imagine is happening in that moment. And for being in a 1v2 spot, a lot of players would just, start to crumble. They just want to try to stay alive. They maybe try to box themselves up. Moxie says, no, I'm going to try to go for the engagement. He realized the situation that he was in. He saw them kind of hanging out in the water and took control when need be, as that very well could catapult them in toward this next game mode. It will be game number 6, as we're venturing on towards some parkour. And like we talked about, right, this is going to be nice for them to kind of catapult themselves forward. And the one thing to note, as you called it out earlier, Nine, was that Moxie and XQC both walked away as parkour champions last week.
They did, and that was big points. This is really their best scoring mode, I would say, if you had to add it all up. But right now, I think everyone's still stuck on this first checkpoint right now. Techno did get the first points there, I believe, narrowly edging out XQC to get that. Captain Sparkles is going to be the first to there, and we bring this up because there are big, big bonus points if you are one of the top 3 to get to each checkpoint. And now Captain Sparkles saying, you know what, all you big dogs can keep fighting out. I'm going to take all of these points for myself. And as I say that, a little trip up, Beijing going to be there, and Symphony as well. And again, I'm just going to stop naming these players because they've all failed except for Beijing. Great work.
Oh, now you said it. Give him a second. No, he's got it. What I found was interesting on checkpoint 2 was that we watched both perspectives of Moxie and Techno at the beginning, and they had their line. They lined it up perfectly each time. Also, that sucks for Mitch.
It does. He was at the very end.
Why are there end portals floating in the sky? That's odd.
Aesthetic.
If they touch those,
just
that
nice,
might teleport them to the end. Anyways,
Who knows?
what was weird was I kept noticing Moxie and Techno were playing correctly, and their sprints just kept stopping. About 3 lives in a row on both of them whenever we switched through. So I'm not really sure how that happened to both of them, but they seem to have caught their footing back. Techno's now on to checkpoint 5. You see Mitch going a little too fast on the water. What I've noticed on the water parkour is a lot of these players said they've never had experience with this. They'll go way too fast. I'm honestly surprised Techno lived that.
Well, he's seen this now 3 weeks in a row, so, you know, he's learned. That doesn't mean that he's got it necessarily, and this is a big opportunity for XQC and Moxie, but they've really not made the best of it so far. Looks like maybe keeping up with all these other teams. But again, these are big, big points that these other players are taking from them. And I know that we say this is one where if you take care of your business, you're going to be okay. But you see right there, Techno and Bajan both at checkpoint 6. They're going to be earning the big points for now. And how badly do you think Techno wants revenge on that very final jump?
I would say very badly.
Yeah.
He was the first one there, and he was not the first one to finish.
No.
Nor the second, third, fourth, or fifth one to finish.
He wants it bad.
That classic DNF did not finish, for those of you not familiar with standard scoring.
I've seen that quite a bit on a map that looks very similar to this, Rainbow Road, fortunately, in my history.
We got to get it. We got to get at least one reference to that map every single time that we do this.
We have to.
Voice was going backwards. Suppose he thinks the upper one's safer, which I would agree with.
Techno got through both of those in just one, and this is mostly a sprint here unless they changed it. And that's another one, all these points that Techno is getting for his team right here. And unless Ninja is secretly a parkour god, you have to imagine he needs every one of these points.
You see Brooke in chat, so much rage. I mean, for like some players who maybe aren't as experienced with parkour, I mean, this is difficult. This isn't easy. We talk about guys like Technoblade, even Vicstar, a few others as well, who are very familiar, not just with parkour itself, but even this particular map, and they have their struggles. So we'll see if that can continue to be a trend. And like we talked about, it is a matter of consistency. These top rosters, they need everybody to perform. Technoblade and Ninja, they need to be having at least one player get toward that final end. And I'm sure Techno is just trying to give some support to Ninja, saying, hey, as far as you can get, that's only going to help us. As that kind of final boss, if you will, XQC and Moxie still looming, still around the area. And Technoblade, to no one's surprise, gets out atop at first. And he's making this particular area look easy. A few more jumps, and he's through, and he does it.
Try.
And here we go on toward the final jumping stages, as we'll see if he can make it land first try. And we know anything about Technoblade, it's his ability and his willingness to grind. I'm sure that maybe after Minecraft Monday last week, he instantly ventured forward and said, you know what, I'm going to figure out exactly how to get this jump, and we'll see if he's got the plan ready to go. Here comes the first jump.
Did he download the map?
Oh,
He jumped too early. What I found funny, oh, Jordan's already there too, Captain Sparkles. What I found funny though was we witnessed Techno fail about 6 or 7 times on the slime jumps, which he considers the easiest part of this map. And then right after he started speaking about consistency, I just found that was funny, and they went together. He showed a very inconsistent moment.
All right, well, you talk about consistent. The only thing that's been consistent is missing this jump. Can he get it? That looks better.
Oh, no!
Wow.
At least headbutt it. Wait, did Captain Sparkle? Captain Sparkles makes it through. You've got to be kidding me, man.
This is not going to happen 2 weeks in a row.
There's
This
no way.
can't happen 2 weeks in a row.
It's not going to.
XQC's
It's
on
not.
point 11, too. If XQC beats this ahead of Techno, that's going to bite.
That was also Captain Sparkle's first jump, by the way.
He's jumping way too early. You can see that on the screen.
Look toward that kill feed, ladies and gentlemen.
I would try pressing F5, looking straight down for that end straight right there, so you could just get a very good, clean visual on that lineup for the ending jump. We see Mitch here, who I don't believe, oh, he wasn't there last week, so let's see how good he is at this jump. I would not be surprised if he makes it first try.
There it is. Bajan locks it up. Will we
Here's
see Techno?
Nope, not even close.
Wow.
XQC caught him as well.
That's 3. This is looking very familiar. We already see even a few players off in the distance, so joined by more and more competition, a very intense spot for the Blood God. Having to go big on the final few stages, as this has to be the jump he can't afford for players to continue to perform the way that they have. XQC hot on his tracks. Can one of them at least jump in? Technoblade needing this, and that's a solid jump from XQC as he will get it, but unfortunately Technoblade does not. Are we going to see the exact same thing happen in back-to-back weeks?
You can see how perfectly timed XQC did that jump. And every time we watch Techno, he jumps like 2 blocks early. XQC was at the end of the final block. That was very good timing on his part. I don't know what Techno's up to here. Oh, he's getting a 45-degree angle. He thinks he's going to jump farther. Because sometimes in Minecraft, like if you're doing speed bridging, say in Skywars, and you're building in a block, it's faster to move at a 45-degree angle. It's at a better speed for you to place blocks properly.
Yeah.
So perhaps he thinks that might be the trick for him here. It looks like he's slightly off. He might accidentally pop off any second here. No, he's got it. Okay. At least the angle. I don't think he's got the jump.
Oh,
he's got the jump.
There
Great
it
job
is.
to Techno.
Oh,
Fourth. I thought
man.
there were already 4 people that finished.
No, and Vicstar was here as well, so if Vicstar had gotten this ahead of Techno, that would have been rough. But
I think he's
Great
got
jump.
that.
That's
Yep.
great. There
There
it
we go.
is.
And there are your winners. XQC does get it. I don't think Moxie did quite as well that time as he did in the last. And I didn't see, I believe it was Nestorio who didn't have a great round himself either. So that's big, but my goodness. Gotta be the monkey, really the only remaining monkey on Techno's back.
Yeah.
Finally finishing that parkour.
Yeah, that was massive, right, for him and the roster to really kind of perform the way that they did. And like we said, we kind of figured, no offense, obviously it's a new course. Ninja, not super familiar with playing Minecraft, especially here in Minecraft Monday. It's been some time, so we weren't really expecting him to kind of complete this course. So for him and the future of this lineup to continue to succeed the way that they have, he has to finish that course, and thankfully does so in the very end. But let's go and take a look at our top performers right now. It's Moxie and XQC still firmly in that first place position, guys.
Firmly in, and again, that's the power that having 2 people does. So again, that's why you need 2 people who can contribute there. Techno, of course, putting up great, but you have to consider that XQC and Techno's score more or less cancel out, and it just becomes a battle of Moxie versus Ninja. So again, this is still very close, still a lot of games left to be played, a lot of points left on the table, but this is turning into another great one.
It absolutely is. And I think right now, I think we have Zerka and Bazinga joining us for a quick little interview. Guys, can you hear me? All right. Well, how are you guys doing, right? Obviously, this is your first time kind of playing together, at least in Minecraft Monday. How has the journey been going for you guys so far?
Let's
just say Skywars wasn't good.
Skywars was not a good time?
Other than that, we're doing positive vibes. We're having a great time.
I like that. I like that.
We're not
Obviously,
doing the best. We're having a great time together. That's what matters, right?
exactly, right? Just having a fun time. That's what you got to try to, commit whenever you get the opportunity. Now, I know, like I said, you guys obviously representing the Sidemen. Vicstar currently sitting in 5th place right now. Is there maybe some animosity toward him being in that 5th place position? Are you targeting him, or is it more of just kind of a congratulations for right now?
We don't like his teammate.
Right.
We're going for,
we don't like his
Vic.
teammate.
We're happy for Vic's success. Vic's success is great. By all means, go Vic.
doing good. We love Vic, but I'm 2 points behind Courage. I'm just trying to overtake him by the end of the day.
I like that. Okay, I like the play. Now, so we got a few game modes kind of coming up. Is there anyone that you guys are kind of targeting specifically to improve, or is it just a matter of overall consistency right
Certainly
now?
not Hunger Games again.
Not Hunger Games?
No, certainly not Hunger Games again.
We've got that's coming again though.
Yeah. Maybe TNT Run. Who
Okay.
knows? Yeah.
I like that.
It's gonna be good.
Well, best of luck to you guys. We appreciate you for taking the time for a quick interview. Obviously, for the entire UMG Studio team, we wish you guys the best of luck and hope to see you possibly on that podium, maybe even overtaking Vic from time to time. But, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick little commercial break. When we return, it's time for our final 3 games of Minecraft Monday.
What if I had my own G Fuel flavor? Introducing Cotton Candy G Fuel. Get it now at gfuel.com.
You took my soul, rip me to pieces.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Minecraft Monday, Week 12, as we're hopping in toward Game 7, TNT Run for our current game of choice. And I know we just got off the phone with Zerka and Bazinga of the Sidemen. They were saying, hey, you know, we're feeling kind of good right now. We obviously want to try to outperform Courage, who exists just above us. And the way that we can do that is on some good old TNT Run. Now, in terms of the overall placements right now, we've talked about it. These last few games are incredibly important. By no means do we have one team that's kind of totally outperforming the rest. This is still so much of a, or rather, so closely of a neck-and-neck race, gentlemen.
This is one of the players that we need to watch because, again, top score right now, I believe Techno already fell, so Moxie is up, and I know XQC was up in that top mix as well. If they could outperform Techno in this mode, that would more or less spell a very difficult lead for them to come back from, but we don't want to speak too soon. We know Vicstar is always going to be there. Sidearms going down as well, and let's take a look at Symphony again, who's had a great tournament so far. Symphony in the top 2 with Moxie.
I thought that was Vicstar. Moxie's still there, yeah. Okay. That's a pretty interesting top 2. Moxie's definitely going to use these points well, whether he gets first or second.
Symphony trying to carry the load forward. Still has a few blocks still to choose from. Has to go for a decent jaunt, but still has a nice surface area around him. And you notice the difference, right? Moxie kind of playing this slowly, utilizing all the blocks, while Symphony is going for the full-on sprints. That is just a matter of kind of knowing exactly how TNT Run works, right? The ability to kind of balance and jump on these blocks slowly, and that will, in fact, lead to a victory. Got to give a huge GG's, though, to Symphony for lasting as long as he did. It is always a worthy loss when you drop to someone as talented as Moxie is.
Right, and Moxie winning that is a big deal. There is a bonus for winning a round. So again, they were up about 150 points. Generally, we always say that the sweet spot is if you can be about maybe 150 to 200 points up in a game, going into that final game of Hunger Games, as long as you play that last game and you contribute and get some survival points, it's very difficult to make it out of that next level. So again, very, very good stuff for them right there. And you know that that's going to be huge. And I think Techno immediately threw that down to try to take down Moxie. I think Moxie got out of that A-okay. And if not, there's still plenty of room to work on the bottom. But again, this is where Techno has to come up clutch. This is his mode. And, you know, I've asked it every other mode. Tyler, do you have a general strategy you like to employ in TNT Run?
Well, for this particular map, as you noticed there at the beginning, Techno immediately dropped down to the second floor. Because normally in, unlike Spleef, you want to stay on the top as much as you can. TNT Run is about getting rid of the other players, if possible, like safely. So what Techno does is instead of staying on the third top layer for as long as he can, and then just falling down to the first layer and skipping a level, he immediately goes to the second level, stays there as long as he can, makes a hole in the middle for everyone else to fall through, which puts him on the second floor and everyone else down to the first floor. It makes them skip and fall 2 instead of 1, when he makes himself only fall 1. And then he slowly takes his time. Although, what I'm surprised about by most players is they don't slow hop the majority of the game.
Yeah.
I would do it almost the entire game, if not the entire game, unless I see someone near me. I might even play an F5, I would try, but that might be a little interesting to be in third person for TNT Run when you get like to the more scattered blocks. But you did see Techno use that grenade in the middle of the second layer immediately, and just after he used it, immediately Vic fell down 2 floors. I'm sure he was not happy with that. Although you still see Moxie, still see Techno, see Fitz over there. Moxie has limited space unless he can make that good jump.
That's going to be huge.
Can he do that to the 3 block? Yeah, he can do that. Okay. Vic is running out of blocks, though. Moxie has started to cut him off.
Technoblade just fell. Technoblade's down. Moxie, wow. locks that one up, as that will be back-to-back game modes, and we discuss whenever you're watching runs, right, from teams in Minecraft Monday, we can point out specific moments in terms of that's the way that they held on, that's the way that they kind of progressed as a team. Right now, Moxie is doing that in the clutch. Now, we haven't really got to see too much of XQC for the most part, but generally, when Moxie has been putting on these performances, this is where they can really start to move forward in the standings. This is where they can hold on to their advantages. When we see Technoblade start to fall early, any points that you can hold on to is going to be so massive. But for me, at least so far throughout this game, as we see the explosions already coming in with those power-ups, Moxie has been Mr. Clutch for the team.
He has indeed, and I almost wonder, as we see XQC was right next to Techno right there, I almost wonder if the general strategy there is, hey, just take out Techno. Just whatever you have to do, XQC, take out Techno. I got this. As long as you limit their points, that's all we need right there. But Moxie and XQC both on this bottom level really early on. You see they're actually right next to each other. They need to be careful not to knock each other out, but I do think they both made it out of there A-okay. But sitting on this bottom level as long as they have is going to be very scary for them. And again, they want to pad that lead as much as they can. We know how good they are at one shot, as we see Vicstar taking all of the advice that Tyler just gave us and taking it out. And we've just received word that Moxie went down, so this is the opportunity. That's not even a top 15 finish there for Moxie. That's a big deal. Techno needs this win if he wants any chance of winning this week.
Although if you did look from Vic's perspective, oh, and Techno's down. If you did look from Vic's perspective, he was definitely still in the first layer, but he did not have anywhere on the second layer to fall on. He's going to the third layer, and there's going to be not very long of a path for him to fall down to. We have Jerome. Was that Mitch next to him, I think? Who else do we have down here? We have 6 players left. Yeah, Mitch is down there.
And then we have Fitz. Fitz, a fantastic player of TNT Run. And Bajan going to try. Nope, no one else falls in that one little last hop, but it's Jerome, Fitz. I think XQC was still up, too. He may have fallen as we've looked away, but
if XQC picks us up for Moxie, that's a very big play.
At that point, that's so many points that I'm not sure.
Yep, there he is.
Yeah.
That's not Travs. His name's too short. Oh, Jerome loses a sprint there.
So it's Fitz
and
XQC.
XQC.
It's an XQC, and Fitz gets the win. Good job to Fitz. So actually, fun fact here, Fitz has finished second to Technoblade 3 separate times in this. So to finally get the win is a big deal for him. But talk about exactly what you needed to do if you are XQC and Moxie. First, second.
Yeah.
And we'll see the points right here, but I have to think that lead got padded to, what, 200 points maybe more?
I think that would be a very safe estimate as we'll get ready to take a quick little gander at that one. But like we said, that was a huge moment for them. And when you're kind of catering yourself, you're trying to stay alive on those blocks, that literally is the most clutch situation possible. As we talked about Moxie in the first 2 games and XQC at the end, look at this, 1,349. Could this be their week? It's beginning to look like that is so. Technoblade and Ninja just off in that second place, and another team that happens to be at 4 digits is Bajan and Jerome, a very consistent team. They're familiar with third places. They're happy to be in the podium, but they want to try and overtake at least second place. They want to try and outplace the Blood God himself. And we talk about Nestorio, Wisp still off in 4th, Vicstar and Courage in that 5th place position. So still a lot more interesting games still to come, right? We're getting ready to load into one shot, and last week, we actually did see TB and our frags and Landon close this one out, though there was one team that was just off in the distance behind them. Rather, there was a few, but one of those teams was XQC and Moxie. I think they were maybe within 2 or 3 away from winning that one as well. So the positives can only roll on for these two.
Actually, I believe in the week before that, the first time that we played it, it was Techno and Phil's at the time who won it, and XQC and Moxie were at 39 that week as well. So finishing second last week, second this week, second in the standings. Guys, if they win this, that's it. That has to be first there.
And what a come up it has been for this roster. No, we're not necessarily trying to get it too ahead of ourselves, but the way that the scoreboard is looking, it only kind of points to the direction as if this will be their week, right? They go from 4th, they go from 3rd to 2nd, now to 1st. This is the ultimate come up story for a roster who we really didn't kind of think too much about, right? Moxie, obviously his history, but we look more at XQC and say, hey, what can they really provide? They come out early, they perform in a 6th place finish, and we said, hey, it's pretty good for this team, but their consistency as a group to continue to improve has been magnificent. It's been a wonder to watch, and they have won almost every single game mode at some point. They've improved, and it's starting to show itself.
It is indeed, and You know, one shot, what is the strategy if you're a team that has to get the win? Do you seek out the fights? Do you opt to stand up in an outpost? Do you just try to move and trust your aim? What do you know? I'm sure you've played this at least once.
I would say this is my best game.
Oh, perfect.
I am not the best melee PvPer. I don't practice it ever, but I definitely am. I land my shots, I would say. It's really just up to what the person prefers. So you see XQC here, I'd assume he'd run around through the trees, give himself a little cover, and just like pick people out of their spawns as much as they could. Moxie, I would assume, would be something similar. But some players you see opt to stand in the outpost towers, not get shot, and just shoot out constantly. But if you miss your shots from an outpost like that, you got a long wait until you can shoot again. If you're running through the trees, whether you get a kill or get killed, you get your arrow back real quickly compared to just missing a shot from across the map.
Ooh, and you see XQC instantly on the flank, nearly takes down 2. And this is also a massive game that we talked about with Technoblade, how talented he can be, always kind of falling short to lineups like this. This is massive, not just for XQC and Moxie, but for the teams that exist just below them.
One thing you can notice right here to XQC off the bat, which I don't think has ever happened before, this might have been something Moxie just told him to do. He's pressed F3B and turned on the hitboxes for all the characters. And as you can see, as I talked about last time I was here, the hitboxes are always the same. They don't really turn. So that's how you can see the diagonals. But that you can see how big an arrow actually is there. So XQC has a very big advantage turning on those hitboxes. And I'm surprised no one else does it. Yeah, Lake's saying it in chat right there.
We're watching Technoblade, obviously.
Are. Very, very close right now. When we came over to this perspective, there might be a little bit of desync. It was 10 now to 11, so you have to imagine that XQC and Moxie have made a little room as well. But the way that these teams like to run together
I don't know how long,
and work there,
pull back
we see Ninja maybe having a little more trouble with it, but trading there with XQC. So you see 11 of 13 right now going to Techno, and these are all big points. You see each elim is going to be 5 points here, so there's a potential for well over 200 points here, and that's a big gap. And you hear Techno, a little exasperation in his voice there, understanding they got to make something happening quick. So we're going to be...
They need some form of momentum. They have to get something going. They need a spree. They need some sort of a kill streak, if you will, to kind of get going, whether that's Ninja or it just has to be Technoblade again. They need something, and they need it fast. As here come the engagements, a nice shot kind of already found at least. Decides to go and take that top side point of view and has Jerome enter right in the line sight. A quick little highlight for the folks at home. Still, though, we'll see if that can continue.
One thing that usually make or breaks your one-shot performance is how good you can get your, it's usually called bow spam, but in this, it's not really spam because you only get one arrow. It's your quick uncharged shots. If you can land the really quick shots right before you, against most of these players are going to full charge their bow 90–95% of the time. If you look at Nestor there, that was not a charged bow shot. He looked, clicked, flicked back, and just got the Moxie kill and kept going on. See, he's already got 16 kills here out of 25.
No, what? A tree? Who told you to be there?
I love how chill some of these top players are. They're playing well. They're scoring well. They're playing like crazy. But Tree, why were you there? The audacity of that Tree. So we see right now 26, 34. And you have to imagine that this is the next highest score. 36 now, just 4 away. And the pop-off that will happen if they get this. Just 3 more, 2 more now.
That was a very nice trick XQC did. I don't know if he realized it. His character is right-handed, which means he was standing behind a tree. And even though he couldn't see past the tree, his arm was sticking out past it. And you can technically shoot around the tree despite it being in front of your face. Oh. Which he did that a minute ago.
There it is. It's 39. And there you go. You see the hype. You see what it means for these guys. As they're saying, come on, we're in nearly championship territory. Walking away with that game, and we talked about how they easily could be a contender so close in back-to-back weeks, and XQC just lets out a good old let's go because they realize what that meant for the roster. We'll take a look at the scoreboard here shortly, but that will set up a very interesting final Hunger Games. These guys clearly in the driver's seat, but can anyone take them down? That really will be the ultimate key to success.
It will be, and again, you know, even if there's a perfect slay out from second place, if this is too big of a gap, this might turn into what we call a victory lap here. And that's why, again, understanding the bigger the gap is, even
safer
the
you
worst
feel.
possible,
Right.
even the worst possible scenario won't ruin it for them here. And let's take a look right here as we see it. And my
Wow.
goodness, 1,599 points, over 300 up. And guys, there might be a new discussion right now. Can they possibly beat the record that Technoblade and Philza set? There are enough points. They would need almost every elim to do it, but it is still technically doable.
Yeah.
And my goodness,
That's
what a story.
319 points. That's
And
all.
another
Just
thing that's
a simple
possible.
little number, you know?
Another thing that's technically possible is if Techno and Ninja manage to kill Moxie and XQC early in this Hunger Games and get all the other kills. Techno and Nestor are kind of friends. Maybe Nestor could help him out. And
Oh, diplomacy!
I never know.
Diplomacy.
I mean,
Like-
I'll be honest. I'd start those side conversations as well. It's looking like this right now. You are 319 points down. I think there has to be an instant try and target right now for Moxie, especially right the way that he's been performing, and it isn't kind of out of the realm of possibility based off the way that Technoblade has been kind of roaming around through all of these games. We talked about how he was instantly targeting him in Spleef indirectly, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna charge up, get as many snowballs as I can, and then try to target him instantly." It wouldn't be too odd, but boy, this is the chance. Can we see XQC and Moxie finally capture their title? We're about to find out.
Techno is floating there, probably lagged out for a second, although Techno has mentioned before that he wants Moxie and XQC to win. So he probably wouldn't actually ask for help as my random joke came out, just stating that in case, because a lot of people... so Techno puts on a persona that he's like super like full of himself. Oh, Techno's out. It's been deep fried.
I think that
Interesting.
that has to be something of that sort. But regardless of that, XQC and Moxie again, I think that that's the only team that really has a chance to get that. And we see Lake with a little bit of clarification right there. But if XQC and Moxie, I think at this point, what do? You understand now. Very, very difficult. Ninja would have to pull a Fortnite Ninja, actually, and do some slaying out of his own. But what do you do here? Do you just go swinging as wildly as you can, trying to get as many points as you can? Do you take a happy little victory lap? What is it that you try to do here?
Apparently you DDoS Techno.
This is...
Let's see. Ninja is gone.
Yep, and there it is right there. The only team that had any chance to run in and get that is going to be taken down. You see Carson gets Sparkles, which, wait a minute, weren't they on the same team? No, I'm sorry, never mind. That was Travs. My apologies here. But now you know that these two are going to be able to hunt down anyone they want. Their victory is assured at this point. And now the question is, can they beat that top score? I know a few of the elims are already off, but you take a look up there. Still 22 possible elims, 220 points theoretically, some victory points on top of that. And I think they have a couple that they're looking at right now to make that happen to.
That was a nice into pearl escape from Speedy there. Although the only ones that can really contest XQC and Moxie, not in points, but just in terms of overall stats, are obviously Nestor and his team, which, these traded. Although Wisp came out on top. And yeah, those are the two teams I was about to mention. They fought each other, and now one of them is left. So this is looking like top four are not going to change in score.
No, I mean, Wisp, Wisp is a supremely talented player. This could still happen. You see sitting on top of elims right there. Could get enough. Maybe they weren't too far back. We see Moxie with an elim right there. They're going to continue to gear up. They want the full-on victory royale. I know that's not technically the term here, but, it's swap it around a little bit. But, Landon, what can we say about these two? A true rise up the ranks, 6th place, 4th place, 4th place, 4th place, 3rd place, 3rd place, 2nd place. And now it seems the only thing separating them from that 1st place is, about 18 more players who happen to exist on the same map.
Yeah, like you said, for them at this moment, it's got to be a little bit of a victory lap, but it's got to feel so good. I mean, you talked about it. They're come up as a team, their ability to perform the way that they have, and it's got to be somewhat of a sigh of relief saying, could we do it? Was it actually possible, depending on the teammates that exist, depending on the rosters that are out there? Do we really have what it takes to perform at the highest level and be the best team in Minecraft Monday? And I think for them, it's a very definite yes and a sigh of relief, like we said, for them yet again. But we'll have to watch as the game does progress. Can anyone take them down? Can they go out on top? And like I said, kind of topple over what is the major point mark that we saw happen not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, involving Technoblade and Co. But that'll remain to be seen as Moxie actually just gets involved with the kill feed and takes down Fitz.
Vic and Courage looking like they actually have pretty decent gear here. They could take the Hunger Games away from XQC and Moxie.
Might indeed, and you see Wisp sitting up there with the best overall gear, and
Yeah.
we see now. So again, we've talked about Wisp being a very strong player. Have to be careful not to get caught off there, and you have to imagine that Wisp is probably going to opt to wait as close to center as possible. Oftentimes we see that when a player is well geared up by themselves, maybe try to get a 3P opportunity at the end. But right now, XQC and Moxie on the hunt. Really, the only team I think that can stand against them in terms of gear is probably this team that you mentioned right here, Vicstar and Courage. And we've seen Vicstar take many a victory royale, so I mean the cake is perhaps already made, but you got to get the icing, that very final win here in Hunger Games, and you know XQC and Moxie are hungry for that right now.
If you look at Techno and Nestor's thumbnails on their YouTube streams, they both have each other in the thumbnails. Looks like they should have had a Santa Claus and a monkey.
Well, here comes the chase.
I'd like to see some fan art of a Santa Claus and carrying a little monkey.
You might see it after this week. You might yet see it.
Absolutely possible. That definitely wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Symphony instantly tossing out a few arrows, just trying to hold off what seems to be the inevitable as Moxie, XQC, quite literally are running through the checkpoint to the check mark. As they're on the hunt, they're on for the races. As the chest will be refilled, it's going to be somewhat of a positive for everybody in the map right now, especially a few that could be lingering over toward that middle side. But if you're Symphony, it's just a matter of when. As he's knocked down toward 3 hearts, XQC, he's ready. He wants it. He can feel it, and there it is. Moxie, XQC in sequence, actually, take down both Brook and Symphony. As that is going to be, like we said, a worthy final moment for them as this roster just continues to show off their overall talent.
The heart health above their head is actually in half hearts because you have 10 max hearts. So if it said he was 3, he'd be at 1.5 full hearts technically.
Very, very close right there. And we again see Vicstar right now trying to play spoilers. Some TNT right there, a couple Ender Pearls. You talked about being well geared up. This is about as good as it's going to get at this point in the game, unless someone happens to walk up and, you know, donate to you a diamond sword after you take their life. But right now it looks like maybe moving around and trying to figure out some high ground here. And now it is Wisp was right there. And look at that, just chasing him off, saying we want this. And now Moxie has a great chance to eliminate him right here and opting to run away. That was a diamond sword. A lot of damage, but Wisp right now in a really rough spot. And you think that Ender Pearl's probably going to do it.
That was a very good Pearl. Nice flank. One great part of Pearls is that you can immediately flank someone like on a whim. Like, you don't have to plan it. You're just like, oh, I'm going to be behind them. I'm going to be next to them now. You right-click and you're there, as long as you can use the mouse properly.
That's always a question, but right now the question is when rather than if. You have to think Wisp is going to have a very difficult time with this, although it's held on remarkably well.
That snowball might have saved his life, knocking Moxie back on the river.
Oh my gosh, that was a crit?
This is a very good play here by Wisp, holding them at the river. He got through without getting stuck in there, which is obviously a very good play. He can get Moxie here, and Wisp is at full, and XQC is, what was he, about 4 hearts?
Something there. If it's Santa Claus, then Wisp is the Grinch who stole Christmas right here. Got them both, and Wisp, well, you know, you get the win, but that's what matters. That's what matters. That is what I will say. The win is there, but what an incredible individual play from Wisp right there.
Yeah.
Full iron armor and a diamond sword might slay out by himself.
Yeah.
I know we have been talking specifically about Nestor, but we've been leaving Wisp out, and he's also a UHC player. He has all the same skills Nestor has, and maybe not as often. I don't know. I know Nestor is a name more. I think he's played longer as far as I'm aware. But we saw there, Whisper held his ground and got away, showed a lot of good, what I consider UHC skills, and beat the top-ranking team currently.
Well, the survival skills right there. You said it right there. So many small things. Using the river, getting through that, setting down the TNT at the right spot to push them away, and more than anything, saving an Ender Pearl for the chase back out. You saw he had to Ender Pearl in order to catch up to Moxie to get that elim, and then at that point, he actually had another Ender Pearl that he could have used to continue the chase, opting to instead save that and just go for the bow shot. But every little thing done right there. That is the mark of a true master of their craft, or their Minecraft, as the case may be. And now has center control.
I am wondering where the enchantment table is on this map. I didn't notice it at the Cornucopia. Here we have Vic and Courage taking on Side in the middle of the ocean. I don't know why Courage jumped in the water. They could just shoot him until he's dead, which is what they're doing now. He climbed back out. You can't use your TNT.
Oh, who's behind him? Is that Wisp?
Yep, it is.
Oh!
Of course it is. Always.
Missed a snowball. He's going to take out Courage here. He does way more damage. Has way better armor. Gonna knock Vic into Side.
Now Sidearm's like, you should have killed me while you had the chance.
I'll take the free points.
Absolutely. Take it when you can get them. Wisp jumping off the leap pad and right into the fight. Right into the fray.
Honestly surprised he even opted to jump in the water. He's
Just
regretting it
Zach's
now.
no big deal. Didn't even need that.
Weighing me down.
Might as well at this point.
They're out now.
Yeah, there are 5 teams and 5 players. It is all solos at this point.
It is indeed. Maybe everyone knowing what is the inevitable Vicstar as well. Actually roaming around with the flint and steel. So maybe just trying to have someone go up in flames. Have a little bit of a party toward the end of this. And there we go. Here it comes. Watching the enemy burn up. But now watching from the overall perspective, watching from the floating heads as he will fall. Does get some extra damage on the sidearms, but to no avail. This one is through. And like we've talked about, this man, sidearm still remaining alive, still holding on, and does have some TNT in that inventory, which we know could definitely cause some damage. What a small victory, and what a decent victory it would be if he and KY or Speedy could lock up this W at the end. But in order to do that, they have to go through this man, Wisp.
Look at Whip's hotbar here. 5 eggs, a bow, 6 snowballs, 11 TNT, 4 gapples, an ender pearl.
Are you saying it's pretty good there, Tyler?
He can work with it.
He can work with it.
It's a workable situation.
I think so as well.
Zerka down. He didn't even need to chase him. He could just let the border kill him there. He was at, was it 1.5, I think? Although, he might have wanted to click the head. That might have been what he was doing. So he's Side, and was it Typical Gamer is the other one?
Oh, hey, Typical Gamer. Oh, hey, Typical Gamer.
Gonna get 4-shotted.
Oh, but okay. Someone tagging up Wisp from behind. An attempt, but we know. 1 heart left. That's it. There goes 1. Still some damage being taken. Taps the head, and now it's all up to sidearms. We saw this engagement just previously, tossing out the TNT. And
23 left for Wisp.
Not landing. Nothing really working out. Sidearms maybe thinking, do I have most of items already used? Nope, got at least another piece of TNT.
Did he just stop moving for a second there?
I think he did. He realized what seems to be the
Great
case.
snowball combos, and there we go. Nestor and Wisp winning the final Hunger Games.
Well, Wisp winning the final Hunger Games there.
Wisp winning the final Hunger Games.
What an unbelievable carry. Showing you what this team is capable of. They were absolutely as advertised, but it was the Wisp show there, but there are 2 names that we are going to be saying over the course of this. Not that it was ever in question, but they certainly did enough to pad the already substantial lead that they had. XQC and Moxie will be getting it the first win. Sup?
XQC Moxie, can you hear us? I think we're good to go. All righty, like we said, here with our Week 12 winners. Guys, how does it feel considering the grind that you guys have been on? We talk about, a few different placements in the past. You go from 4th to 3rd to 2nd, now to 1st. What's the initial thoughts right now?
No, you go first.
We rolled.
We actually rolled.
I love it.
We did. Listen. And no offense to Technoblade. I just feel like he kind of went with like the bigger streamer icons at the beginning, a good teammate. Me and Moxie have something indestructible that goes to the winning, and it's friendship. And we roll with it, and we grind through it. We never saw teammates, and it paid off. That's
I love that. I love it. We here at the studio have been rooting you guys on ever since we kind of, watch your guys' performance, the way that you kind of have been grinding over time. It really kind of, someone has been a marvel, but kind of on that conversation of Technoblade, I know there was a few moments, and I'm curious if you guys saw it as well. Did you guys notice that at certain points, Technoblade was in fact targeting you guys in certain game modes?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's obvious. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's the biggest competition. Well, it's really not even close.
Yeah, well, the strat we had is that we talked about it. I told him, if we get focused, we can't let grudges and that get in the way. We got to focus on our game modes, our win, our strats, and not care what they do, right? And if they want to be like that, then so be it. But they'll lose in the end, and it did. It paid off.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, massive congratulations to you guys again. I'm sure it feels pretty well, right, to kind of hold on to that title after it has been a grind, right, for you guys to kind of develop and kind of progress over time. Is there anything you guys would like to say maybe to a few of the fans out there in terms of who have been watching you guys kind of along this path and along this journey? Any final words?
Big time, baby. Big time. Seriously.
Big time.
Big time.
Well,
are we
thanks
seeing?
for cheering us on.
Absolutely.
Thanks for cheering us on all the time. And also, thanks to the people that don't believe it, that always did like some sneak disses all the time and trash remarks. It's also fuel for us to win.
Okay.
And when we get a win, right, it's hard enough to think about it. Think about all those comments, because now they're in their chair in their crusty ass basement, right? And they're thinking about it. I said this. I said they want to win, and I tried to crush him when I was down. And look at me now. He wins, and I'm still in my crusty basement, not doing shit with my life. What's up now?
Yeah, what's up?
I love it, guys. You guys are awesome. And I got to say really quickly, are we seeing that championship defended next week?
Damn right we did.
God damn.
Love it.
Goddamn right.
Absolutely love it. Well, like I said, massive congratulations to XQC and Moxie as they are your Week 12 champions. Well-deserved, obviously, an amazing entertainment factor. But those guys, they deserve that title, I think, more than anybody at this point here in 9. The way and the grind that they have been on, right, to go from 4th to 3rd to 2nd and now to 1st, rather to win the way that they have, to clutch out in the big moments the way that they did, it's remarkable. It really is.
It really is. And I remember last week, I think the very final remark that I had after that was to the two of them. It was almost a plea for them to stick to it because I knew that they were so close. Of course, last week, a lot of outsiders came in and really, I believe they got 2nd place, but they were so close, and I wanted to see them stick it out for one more. And hearing that, they were going to stick it out until either all Minecraft servers stopped or the world itself ended. Friendship, the power of it right there. And you see right there, 1,663, nearly 300 points above the next team.
Yeah.
And man, Tyler, what can you say about their performance?
I personally just want to see the individual scores. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
So Moxie's number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. The rest. Vacant number 3. Nestor 6. Whisper 7.
I got to say, this is interesting. So there has been kind of a storyline developing in terms of who has kind of been the top performer in mini games alone. Last week we saw for the very first time ever someone overtake Technoblade in a single player score in the game mode of mini games. It was Aqua. This week it was Moxie. Not by a whole lot, but he still gets it done in the end. Technoblade, like we said, back-to-back weeks, not being that first-place player that we know him to be. It is somewhat surprising, but it's not surprising that he's at least the second-place player in both of those situations.
It's not surprising at all, and so often, like we said earlier, when a team wins, it is very typical that they have somebody up at the top or at least right near there, but also someone in the 3 through 5 range.
Yeah.
And, of course, Moxie's going to get his points, but how about XQC?
Absolutely.
758 points right there. Easily the most improved player over the course of this event. No question.
I definitely agree with that. Also, I do think it's interesting to note that Techno was only 25 points behind first, despite not getting to play the last game.
Yeah.
Although he could have just died immediately. You never know.
Exactly. That's a very
just a shout out to Techno. Even with not getting to play a game, he's still a top 2 contender.
Oh, for sure.
By not even far away from the top number 1.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like the little outlier that we have to bring up as well. The fact that he doesn't play that last game, of course, plays a factor in the end, but it is, somewhat of an interesting kind of thing to be looking out for, at least for right now. But I think our major question was not of how Moxie was going to play, but in terms of, like I said, where was XQC's consistency going to be at? He kind of normally exists around the mid-500s, maybe even the beginning 600s in terms of his average score. The fact that he gets to 758 is very remarkable. That's kind of like where Moxie has been. If these two can kind of keep it up, and I asked them, are they going to be defending their title? They said, absolutely. You think that we're going to let this title slip out of our hands, our hard work start to go to waste? These guys, they're confident, but I think a lot of that confidence comes in from their consistency, which is what we saw XQC pull off today.
Right. Well, they went from 4th to 3rd to 2nd to 1st. Well, where do you go from 1st? You keep 1st.
Yep, exactly.
Or they try to push for Techno and Phil's record. I think that's
that'd be interesting.
That's the only thing left for them to do is either 4 titles or the individual top scoring title. And, with this roster, I don't think we can doubt anything.
Yeah, that's for sure. Right, the way that they've been playing, it's it is it's a marvel, right? It is absolutely a marvel to kind of be digesting and to be looking out for, and that only adds even more storylines for the future, right? They were kind of talking about it, how they weren't really kind of worried about what everyone else wants to do. They were just kind of, somewhat trying to play their game. They're ready for the targets. They're ready for Technoblade to try and instantly find Moxie every single time that it came about, and that's to no surprise, right? Both of these players, both Moxie and Technoblade, realize that right now they're considered to be the two best players in Minecraft Monday right now, based off stats, based off score, and even here based off placement. It's not surprising that these two were kind of going after each other from time to time, and in that situation, it just doesn't really work out for Technoblade. Obviously, not playing that last game does play a factor, but just in general, kind of throughout the game, you like to imagine that maybe given the right circumstances, given the right scenario, we could see these two absolutely meet up again.
I think we will. Go ahead.
Moxie did beat Techno with his own TNT games, so
That's true.
I mean, if Techno would have won one of those, maybe he could have got the top points, but he didn't. Moxie beat him twice, almost 3 times at the game he's considered the best at in the whole server.
It's true. It is a fact, at least for right now. Like I said, those questions will remain to be seen, but right now, like I said, we got to obviously close out week number 12. It was a very interesting one. It was filled with a number of different highlights, even a few Ender Dragons and Withers, to be exact. But any closing thoughts here, guys?
I still need a minute to correct one of those 2 words myself. So, Tyler, you've been an absolute marvel today. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are you should subscribe to my Minecraft channel.
There you go.
Oh.
Throwing the plug?
Maybe I shouldn't have thrown it to you first
there
here. Saintless, but
you should have known better.
Seriously, man, thank you. All
Thank
your
you.
technical knowledge, very wonderful.
Absolutely.
So many things that I have learned over the course of the broadcast. But again, I guess to give one more shout out to the same group that I gave it to last time, XQC and Moxie. Thank you so much for being such great competitors, for sticking it out through thick and thin. You absolutely deserve this, and I cannot wait to see what is in store next week, because it's only going to get better from here. Now there's even more storylines to talk about, and I can't wait to be a part of that.
Well, that's for sure, right? I mean, in terms of the way that these guys have been performing, it really kind of has been an interesting storyline. And really quick for you guys, do we see them, in fact, defend their title? Do we see them have the opportunity to walk away as back-to-back champions? Think about it. Take your time.
You got a coin?
Like a flip? I don't think I do. I would not be surprised to see them win the next 1 or even 2 weeks in a row. I think
a chance, absolutely. Will they do it? I think that a lot of things had to come together to make today happen, but there were a lot of good teams out there, and it didn't deter them. And it was dominating, too. So many modes that they got their wins on. Provided that we don't see a major overhaul, I don't see why they couldn't win next week or even the week after that or the week after that and so on and so forth.
One thing is, you did mention if they go 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, where do they go from that? Well, they have been improving to get these scores. They haven't showed any signs of slowing down and improving. They could only solidify and just even make even bigger wins each week and make it less of a chance for the other teams.
That's for sure. Like I said, there could be somewhat of a dynasty beginning to form. There could be multiple championships involved with this particular roster. Before we do say goodbye for the final time, we obviously do have to highlight for those who are obviously involved with the chat, congratulations to you, because you actually had an opportunity to walk away with the giveaway for this week. Now, to kind of finalize the announcement, the winner of this particular giveaway has the opportunity to win an Xbox One, a PS4, or a Nintendo Switch. So massive congratulations to HLG_FN. Congratulations to you, sir. You've won a console of your choice. Like we said, a huge thank you to you for being a Minecraft Monday viewer, whether you've watched from the early stages or if this happened to be your very first one. We welcome you to the community. We welcome you even for future weeks. But as we talk about future weeks, that's what the storylines begin to establish. Can we see XQC and Moxie defend their title? Who will Technoblade have next week? Will we start to see more competitors begin to form up and even form some more solid rosters? We'll have to see. But for the entire UMG studio, for Tyler, a.k.a. Arrow, along with 9 Grains, I am Landon Lando Sanders signing off for the final time, saying thank you so much for tuning in for Minecraft Monday, week number 12, and we'll see you all next time.